Oblong. Oblong? Oblong. Oblong, oblong. And oblong, oblong. Oblong. Oblong Johnson. Oblong Johnson. I'm gonna refill my water. I'll be right back. I'm just finalizing all of this stuff. We're going live. We're going live right now. Well, I mean, we are live. We're currently live. We're going live. Give me one moment. Still finalizing stuff. Still arranging all of my trinkets and pagan idols into the right configuration to focus my will towards spreading my atheist message. Oh, did I say all that magic stuff out loud? Oh, I guess I'm a witch. Ja-boy's a witch. You can call me a man-witch. Oh! But don't call me a knight. Oh! So, just to give you guys an idea, before I, turn on the camera and start the stream properly, you better gird those loins. All right, you better gird them. Got to get them nice and girded, and gird them good, because today's Topic Talk Tuesday. That's right. That's right. Going live in just a second here. Just need to finish with my commensurate medication regimen. Commensurate medication regimen. My MRI. Oh, well, MRI. Huh. There you go. Wait. That's not what that's not what commensurate is. It starts with a C. Well, anyway, I can almost speak correctly. Give me one moment. Just gotta finish setting things up, getting everything squared away. All right. The winds have shifted, and the breeze is a-blowing. I'm getting my waves so pitted. I'm getting my board so pitted. So pitted. You come in, you drop down, it's like, wah! You know? You drop it, it's like, wah! Anywho, let's get this thing started. Let's get it started, all right? It's time to get going. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for it? Okay. It was a thing at some point in our history. It was a thing. All right, so hi. As you can see, I'm live. We're live. My dog's live. You know, I mean, today's Tuesday. Today's damn Tuesday. That's right. That's right. I said damn, and damn in hell to all of it. To all you out there, damn in hell and assin'. I don't think those count as you know, real cusses for the sake of the live stream. So, damn in hell and ass. Free to just say it willy-nilly all you want. Frickin'. Anyway, hi, I'm Goose. That's me. Hello. Welcome to my stream. Today's topic, Talk Tuesdays, and I extended. Sorry, let me turn this down. The dramatic effect is over now, or at least the entertainment factor. So we can fade that out conveniently. It faded out. It's like I was given a real intro by the musical gods, right? So, hello once again. I am Goose. Today is the second day of the stream this week, and if you didn't know that, well, it's because you didn't tune into my surprise stream yesterday, and that's probably because it was a surprise stream. We actually had a lovely debate with a person from the UK, and we talked about some of the differences between our two cultures, and we talked about immigration, we talked about, tipping, and we spent a short time on whether or not the MAGA crowd is a cult. It was a very refreshing conversation. I think when I cut these into shorter things or more convenient to watch or more easier to watch things, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the category the most boring debate ever. And I mean that as a term of endearment, because I think that a good debate is when you can come away from it, you know, having had just like a good conversation. I don't know, I think that might be a good theme. I don't know if that's insulting to the interlocutors, but I don't think it takes away any respect or reverence from the actual subject matter itself. So, today being Topic Talk Tuesday, I think what we're going to do is we're going to differentiate Monday from Tuesday by saying that Monday will be like MAGA Cult Monday, and then Tuesdays will be Topic Talk. So what I'll do is I won't have the topics on the screen. Those here, I won't have these topics on the screen for Mondays, and will be mostly just kind of targeted towards the MAGA crowd. I think that is a good compromise between the two things that I want, because I would like to just have all the topics be available on both the days. But you know, I want to break it up a little bit. I want to have like a little bit of variety, and I think it's easier on my brain to not just repeatedly talk about the MAGA thing constantly over and over again. Even though that's what I anticipate doing, it's just not, you know. Gotta break it up. Gotta color break, you know? Every once in a while, keep things new and refreshing. So, today's topics are very clearly listed on the bottom left of my screen. I don't know if that includes the bottom left of your screen as well, but feel free to click the Discord link, which I am now copying and pasting into both of the chats. I'm gonna pin it. Say Discord, and you can call in and you'll go into the waiting room, and once you are in the waiting room, I will, if nobody's already in there, pull you up and you will then get to have a convo with me, as that's pretty much already been laid out. But now you can actually do it. I usually put it in the description, and so I often forget to insert and then pin it into the chat. So apologies for that, but we got there in the end. All right, so as I said before, the topics are on the screen. Until we get a call, we will do not unpin until I manually do so. I had to tell it what to. She thinks she can fit in this tiny little dog tent, and she can, but it's not without trying. It's not without very specific effort. So until we get a call, what we're going to do is we're going to react to some videos just as per normal, as per the usual, and they will typically have something to do with one of the topics that we are covering. I, for the most part, tend to watch the restaurant business sort of things, but you know, every once in a while that is it's just what I happen to know the most about. But I'm happy to dive into other topics. Culture wars stuff is also just fascinating to me, so I love talking about that kind of stuff. So that's why those topics are there.
Gotta see inside.
Okay, sorry, let me. There we go. And let me turn this back to the front. So back to the front. So this might seem a little heavy-handed, but I think it's a good video to start on. I just kind of breezed through it without watching through the whole thing, so it might cover both sides or it might be biased, but either way, it's bound to be somewhat funny or disturbing.
You got a C in science.
That's totally okay.
School is hard, and grades are a social construct.
Just like gender.
And if you're gay, that's okay.
Or better yet, trans.
Oh my God, yes. Now we're talking. I'll call Dr. Shaboinky. We'll set up a time for the appointment.
Oh, snip, easy.
Shaboinky?
Our friends are gonna be so jealous.
Oh my God, trans kid.
Trans kid, they, them.
Okay, well, initially, it covers a lot of the talking points that I hear from alt-right and conservative people regarding the woke agenda. So I guess that's you know, if that's how they perceive liberals, then sure. That's consistent with what I've seen. So, you know, obviously I don't necessarily agree, but I will agree that that is consistent with what I've witnessed. Now let's see if they get conservative right. Right. With big quotes on the side.
You got a C in math?
But with these kinds of grades, you're wrong to be poor.
Or worse, gay!
A gay son? What will our friends think?
That's it.
Oh
I'm
my
calling the
God.
pastor down here. You're getting conversion therapy. I will not raise a gay son.
No, he can't be gay.
Okay.
You got a C
right.
in science?
That's
Yeah, I mean, I think they leaned a little bit heavier on the criticism towards the liberal side of things, talking about how it's just, you know, a quick snip, easy peasy. Yeah, but they, you know, they hit both sides. I don't know if they hit both sides equally, but they definitely looked at both sides. So I haven't looked at this one. This one is, you know, Turning Point USA always happens to be a veritable breeding ground for enlightened ideas these days, especially like, you know, men's rights activists and you know the sort, the 4chan type. What's up, Amy? How's it going? And so this one happens to be titled "The One Thing Liberals Secretly Admire About Conservatives." So I'm interested to know what it is. I didn't know that I had a secret admiration towards the conservative ideals, but I'm willing to listen to what this, you know, mysterious secret might be. So let's find out together.
As liberals, can you name one thing you like about conservatives?
I like the community that's created around religion, especially just the idea of like...
What? I guess, you know, community is a good thing, and you know, having a solid community is great and it's important, and you know, there are plenty of religious liberals, though I don't know that that is something that liberals secretly admire about conservatives, but let's keep listening. Maybe there's something I'm missing.
Someone having a rough week, or like someone going through surgery, or like not doing well, everyone shows up in the community, casserole, and I think that's beautiful.
As liberals, can you name one thing you like?
Oh, that was it. Okay. So apparently, the thing that liberals secretly admire about conservatives is that they have a community. And she even said it. She distilled it at the end of the statement. She said, "So, community." And the girl was like, "Yeah." Is that not what like fandoms are? Is that not what you know, YouTubers build all the time, or like what exists on forums, you know, where they have like dads talking about tools, not necessarily conservative. Secretly admire about conservatives, admire community. We all have communities. I mean, we live in communities. We have to engage socially within communities. Like, that's so weird to just say that liberals don't either want community or don't have community, and we secretly admire that about conservatives. That's just strange. What a strange thing to say. That's, you know, it's the same thing. I hear that argument from Christians a lot, where it's like, atheists don't have morality. Like, what a strange thing to say. In society, we know what's right and wrong. Like, we teach kids that. Do you think that atheists don't teach their kids right and wrong, or don't know right and wrong themselves? It's such a, like, strange. It's so strange to think that someone can navigate safely through the streets without having any kind of moral compass. Like, people would be out just killing willy-nilly and like just indiscriminately, like lighting fires, and it would be like the post-apocalyptic wasteland that, you know, Christians like to assume that we live in, as well as, see, this is why the Venn diagram overlaps so heavily. Same exact thing, all across the darn board. So I recently gained access to Twitch's monetization features, but I didn't get, like, but they're like, but you can't spend that money if you earn any until you're an affiliate, which is like so like, that's also real strange, isn't it? Seems strange. But and then they said oh yeah, and I was like, why aren't I just affiliate? Because I've fulfilled those criteria like a bunch of times and just never like been inducted into the halls of affiliation. And they say it's because like you don't have enough engagement, but I have plenty of engagement. The minimum, there's a minimum criteria that you're supposed to meet, and I've done it plenty of times by now. So I don't know. It's a mystery to, I think, probably even the top streamers on the platform probably have no idea how it works still to this day. I mean, that's obviously by design. They don't want you replicating their platform. Hiya! Glasses cloth away, I can see now. Mazel tov! We had one victory here on the stream already.
Trump took a bullet in his ear.
He took shrapnel in his ear. What was it, a 5.56? Or was it NATO? Whatever it is, it would have exploded his ear. So he took some shrapnel, and I think they said it was either glass or wood, I believe, so not what a bullet's made of. Just saying. I'm no ballistics expert. Obviously, if I can't pronounce the word expert. But you know, I think it's just because I'm you know, always on the go, and I'm always efficient, and I'm always really like, you know, very like a perfectionist. Maybe not with speech, but you know, I am like so attuned to trying to get things done that I often truncate words. Except for the word truncate. I didn't truncate that one.
and immediately stood
And now
up
it's
and
lost
said,
all meaning.
fight, fight, fight. Every man in America, and
I mean, I'm sure that we could count the seconds between the time he got hit and the time that he stood up going fight, fight, fight. First of all, what's the fight? What are you fighting against? A single teenager? What was fighting? Are we fighting the Democrats because, you know, they're trying to wage war? Like, you instantly assume that it's a politically motivated attempt or something? Like, I don't know, like, because it was clearly like a subconscious thing. Like, he was reacting to whatever was happening in the moment, and the first word that came to his mind was fight. And the last thing he'd been talking about was the Democrats, the evil demonic Democrats eating dogs, whatever, you know, the whole, whatever that thing was in the speech that he was talking about before he got attempted. And if you've seen my previous streams, you know that I have my own conspiracy theories on that, which I'm convinced that they make sense. Not necessarily that it's true or that it happened, but I'm convinced that they make sense. And gosh darn it, that is some kind of, I don't know, some kind of validation. It's self-validation, and I'll take that for now, you know? I reasoned myself back into it. We're good. We can continue.
most of the women out here were impressed by that.
And Republicans...
Bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that.
And
what was the point of saying most of the women out here?
Republicans, although are often not great or just a bit better, I think we played this for you once, but Clay Travis makes a great point right here.
Or what is it that people who are not, who, as Magdalene said, people who don't understand why? That's my first question. I have a second one, but go ahead.
Okay, so what I would start with is men aspire to be bigger.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about here? Are we just talking about the attempt on his life, or are we talking about something deeper?
Pro athletes are popular. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why
masculinity, I think.
Almost universally. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why pro athletes are popular. Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No, Mayor Pete. No, well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, you know, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that trying to grill?
What the fuck is the topic right now? I'm sorry, Mr. 27 minutes into the recording. I haven't gotten into the habit of not cussing yet, but you know, we're working on it. We're working on it. But what are we talking about right now? We're talking about masculinity, seems like, and it seems like his idea is that Republicans are more masculine than liberals. Why is this a topic? I mean, none of the people. First of all, superheroes are by and large liberal. There are literally zero fascist superheroes. I'm just gonna put that out there. Because they're villains. If they share any qualities with a dictator, they're villains. Second they cross into evil, they're villains. And that's not like morally ambiguous. That's not morally gray. That's just straight up the line between heroes and villains. You cannot be a fascist and be a superhero. So I don't know why they would have a quality like toxic masculinity, or why anyone would think that their masculinity is a sign that Republican superheroes' masculinity. He says this. He said it.
And faster than we are, almost universally. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why pro athletes are popular. Men aspire to be bigger, stronger, and faster than we are, almost universally. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why pro athletes are popular.
And he says that's why pro athletes and superheroes are popular. But for some reason they're
Who is the most masculine Democrat?
Seem like only Republicans are masculine. My mind is blowing itself. I don't quite. Ugh, mouth sounds gross. This is not ASMR. I'm sorry. I don't understand why this is a topic. First of all, there's no exclusive, like, masculinity and political parties do not align to any, or do not adhere to any kind of strict criteria. You do not have to be skinny and, I don't know, weak or whatever to be a liberal, and not all liberals are skinny and weak. It shares the same diversity as Republicans who are skinny and weak versus uber masculine. And what is masculinity anyway? Like, people who are on the alt-right, they try to ascribe some poetry and some romance to it by saying that a masculine man is someone who can provide, who can be the alpha of his family, who will stand up and fight for what's right, and fight for freedom and truth and science, and who will tell the drag queens and the demons of the left to go back to their hell demonic syndicate underground warehouses and touch children and drink their blood and do pagan rituals, and we'll smite them with the Lord, because it always goes off into some like weird fanatical tangent. You know how that goes. Was I talking about? Did I black out for the last minute and a half? Anywho, why is this an issue that people are arguing about in a panel on stage, presumably in front of people who are trying to learn something? It's you know, if I was writing for a late night sketch show, I would, perhaps a joke would be where, how do I say this to be TOS friendly? A panel of people who all agree with each other sit on a stage and start out verbally talking about things they all tend to agree about, verbally patting each other on the back, and it progressively gets more physical. So then at some point they are literally patting each other on the back as a punctuation to their point. It eventually gets to the point where they're stuffing their hands down each other's pants and or giving them OTPHJs, whatever your flavor is for whatever sounds the funniest. But by the end of it, they're all just kind of doing that, and then like it would fade out and there'd be applause. I think that would be a funny sketch. But that's pretty much what appears to be happening here. I'm willing to watch more, but I can guarantee you that's what's happening.
Correct. Right now in America. Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No, Mayor Pete. No, well, no, it's just that he's not particular.
So his point is that he cannot think of a leader on the Democrat side who is masculine, which is such a weird. That's one of those fallacies. It's a straw man, I think, is the right term for that. Essentially, they're making up this point that like people seem to think that there's masculine people on the Democrat side, and that's like what the argument is over toxic masculinity or the male loneliness epidemic. And I mean, like, we can read between the lines. We know that that's what this guy's point is.
Really masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass.
Chuck
Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that's trying to grill? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
But who? That's the thing. Yes, exactly. I was gonna say, who would not understand the statistic that politicians tend to be older white gentlemen? And I'm gonna venture a guess that like nobody wants to really hang out with granddad grilling completely raw steaks or something. Like, who wants to hang out with any politician, especially freaking Donald Trump? He like grapes little girls. Like, what? Or anyone in his cabinet, in his like fitness appointments. He had an actual child predator, like a verified on the sex offender registry. Like, come on. It's crazy out there right now. It is. The Oval Office is wilding out, as they used to say. And I don't know why we let go of that term. Nick Cannon is still alive, god damn it. He's still alive, and he's still fathering kids. Even though I think he should probably stop at this point. If you forget one of their names, you probably should stop. But you know what? Wilding out was a good term, and it's a fun thing to say. I didn't really have much of a point besides that, but it is fun to say. You gotta admit that. You gotta at least admit that. They're wilding out on Capitol Hill. You know, I had ChatGPT tell me that I might be autistic today, and that sorry for that peek, and that I certainly had ADHD. Certainly, like, to no uncertain degree. It was interesting because I didn't ask it. I didn't ask it for a mental diagnosis. I was asking for a literary analysis of something that I had written, and it was like it was like that you might, yeah, it was like you show oh, what was it? I don't remember. I'd have to open the thing again, but it was like the like the thinking that you're better than, or not better than, it's like the subtle markers of narcissism, but coupled with the degree of self-awareness, like it crosses into like probably being a little bit on the spectrum. But it's funny that and I'm not like telling ChatGPT to be a doctor or anything. It said that this is like common with people on the spectrum. I was like, what are you telling me right now? I was like, should I go see a specialist? Oh man. Well, I mean, I think my ADHD medication is working. Like, I think it's handling a lot of those components. So I think it's all kind of folded into one. But if not, then I would have to go see someone probably. So yeah, I've not been formally diagnosed with autism, but I do have ADHD diagnosis and am taking medication for it, so it's being managed. But it was just hilarious to see ChatGPT like being so candid about my mental health. Yeah. Now, you want people to be candid, but you don't want them to be candid about your own mental health, especially if they're a freaking computer program.
Bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight.
Health.
Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head, strong. And
oh no, but see, but the proof is staring you in the face. But this is it. They don't have that self-awareness.
Second part of this, basically summing it up, Democrats for men are and Republicans aren't.
Democrats for men.
What did he say? Did he say shit?
And Republicans
Democrats for men.
There are no masculine men in the Democrat for men. Are
Did he say the P word?
For men are.
He doesn't really move his mouth. Crap, what does he say? Oh my god, she was wondering if it was because he was gay. Shut the fuck up, you guys. Fucking. Did he say that the F drop? Did he drop the F bomb? I genuinely do not know what he said. He doesn't move his mouth. I don't know if I can do this frame by. I don't think I can do this frame by frame. Oh, I can slow it down.
Are.
PU dot Y. Because that would make sense. I would okay. I would think that would be consistent with the line of reasoning he was going down. yeah. And like I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm the person who's arranging this event, and I'm the person who is saying like, all right, we have to get talent, we have to get panel members for this, whatever this is. It shows a wider shot. Institute of Politics, University of Chicago, Institute of Politics, inspiring thought. I can't really see what the actual event is, but like I'm thinking to myself, all right, I want a person who is a personality in whatever the sphere is that we're talking in. And so like I what would be the impetus to think that you want someone who's going to be verbally abusive to whatever group it is, whether you like them or not, and still think that this is a professional event or discussion? Like, I feel like the standards have dropped so low as a society for things like basic decorum as being like this weak PC culture wars bullshit. And it's like, that means that we're no longer teaching our kids. Like I haven't talked to anybody that I've worked with in the past, I think maybe 15, 20 years, who has said goodbye at the end of a phone call. And I only rarely hear people saying please and thank you or saying hello to each other on the street. And I understand that just times change and that society changes and that the internet certainly divided us a little bit. I'm under exaggerating on that. I understand the impact of the internet, but I think that doesn't remove the ability for us to pass knowledge to people. And in fact, it actually helps us pass knowledge to people, like the internet superhighway. That's what they used to call it. I don't think that I'm alone in noticing that people are just more cynical and more rude and less tolerant these days. And a lot of that is why these pipelines, these alt-right pipelines, far-right pipelines, people getting into militias, signing up for things like ICE. That's why it's so appealing, because people are fed up with the way that society is. And it's either through incorporating elements into society that you disagree with, or by being, I guess, disenfranchised enough or cynical enough to not want to teach your kids the basics of how you interact with other people. And if anything, we should be more in tune with how society works, because therapy and mental health awareness and things like that are so much more prevalent these days. So it's like a paradox to me. It's incongruent with how history has worked in recent years, and I can only attribute that to a comprehensive shift in the demeanor of people in general. It's like we are in purgatory. It's like COVID did kill everybody and we're trapped in some in-between world now, you know, like between waking and dormant realities. But you get what I mean? Like, progress has always been time moving forward, and what it seems like is that you can witness trends of the pendulum swinging and one way or the other when it comes to culture. You can see that through the U.S. history, because we've gone from inception to full country in such a short amount of time, that it's really visible the way that we've evolved, especially in terms of our culture. And if you can see those trends, they tend to trend less towards conserving the old ways and much more towards learning and growing and being more inclusive and investing in equity. All up until COVID, pretty much. And you can see, I mean, I know that we had the same thing happen with the World Wars and with, you know, large, you know, major disasters and things like that. I get that. What I can't square, I understand all those, but what I can't square is the idea that we would have spent all this time experiencing all these things and all this ebb and flow throughout history, and we wouldn't have learned enough collectively as a civilization to not necessarily not make mistakes, but not make the same mistakes over and over again. And, you know, you can see that with Trump's rise to power, like the way that he's doing things now, going after his political opponents, firing people that disagree with him. Like, it's appeasement. We are in the appeasement stage. As soon as he annexes a country, then the mask will have slipped fully. And I mean, he's already threatened to do that. And they just came out today, I think, with the plans about how he plans to subvert the elections in the coming up. So I think what he means, and forgive me, whatever the fuck your name is, forgive me, piece of shit, for putting words in your mouth, but I believe what you're saying is that Republicans represent a less tolerant, less inclusive, less diverse aspect of society. And this man sees that as strong and as a representation of masculinity. Despite the fact that the statistics don't lie that people on the left and the right who are in power are equally ugly and old. I mean, like, it's I think we can all agree on that. And what I have to disagree with is that edgy is cool. I mean, we may have thought that when we were in 8th grade, but what's cool is being able to sleep at night and being able to rest well knowing that you didn't try to legislate anybody out of existence or end anybody's existence or remove anybody's autonomy or freedom of expression or freedom to assemble or anything like that simply because you didn't like them or didn't understand them, which I think is a good case for voting for Democrats down ballot, because, you know, if we're talking about a lesser of two evils, I cannot believe the dude that I was talking to the first time, I still feel like he's a troll, but the dude that I was talking to the first time said that you're trying to vote between a douche and a turd sandwich. And I was like, which of the two is which? And why are they both bad? Like, Kamala, you may not like women, you may not like dark-skinned people, but, like, not necessarily that she's very dark-skinned, but mixed heritage. You may not like mixed heritage people. But you have, like, I would find it extremely disingenuous or ignorant to not understand the differences between the two, at least in deeds. You have to think that Democrats are sucking babies' bloods to stay young, in order to, you have to think that they are incapable of any kind of empathy or moral adhesion. You would have to believe that in your bones in order to think that there's no way that Kamala Harris would not have been better than Donald Trump. Just if you're looking at their respective rap sheets, you know, their accomplishments and their failures. Like, this is why I say that MAGA is a cult, because MAGA expresses cultish tendencies, and I think that if you try to argue against that and you have to omit some aspect of Trump's personality or his deeds or whatever the things that the MAGA crowd have done, then you're already conceding the point, because it doesn't really matter if you fit all the criteria. It doesn't matter if you rearrange it or anything like that. If you're trying to make excuses for a rapist and a child predator, man, like, it's hard to take any of those arguments seriously. So if you claim to be MAGA, I would love to hear. I would love to hear why you would continue to justify still being MAGA. Like that would be. I really wish somebody would enlighten me, because I cannot for the life of me think of a reason to continue to respect anybody in Trump's circle.
And she's shaking her head.
Oh, it's so slow.
And second part of this, basically summing it up.
He was faced with proof right in this moment. And this is why I'm like, how does the person who arranged this see this as professional, or how does the Rubin report see this as professional enough, Dave Rubin being a piece of shit himself, to put onto the internet, saying, like, when his proof is there, saying boots, like straight to his face. I was, oh, there's shaking her head. Oh, you're wrong. Wouldn't you cut that out? First of all, like, I mean, not first of all, but like, that's the only point, I guess. Like, how do you present that and think you're doing a good job?
Democrats for men are and Republicans
Democrats for men.
There are no.
And that doesn't even make sense, what he's saying. I think that he came in with a bunch of talking points, and then he tried to go off the cuff, and he said something that didn't make any sense. Democrats for men are, and we're assuming that he said, is this TOS friendly? Can you say pussies? I think if you're like not talking in terms of like sexuality, perhaps. I don't know the ins and outs. Ayo! I don't know the specifics of that particular part of the TOS, so someone will have to enlighten me. But yeah, he says the P word, the word for women genitalia, the word for the innie and not the outie. What would you? What's the family-friendly way of saying that? The pularli, the pularlanani, the I like making up words. I don't like using words that people have already used before. The Beneduda. Whatever. Anyway, the point is just cut that part out, man. Like, just cut it out. It's a 2-minute clip. You just make yourselves look bad when you say stuff like
men
that
in the Democrat Party right now.
I mean, that's just true.
And making a claim, oh my god, and then saying that's just true is just so dumb. Like, it's a playground insult thing. It's such a playground insult thing. And he made a 2-minute video of this. A guy with 3 million subscribers that has 643K views. It was posted 5 freaking days ago. And so many people agree with this. Oy, oy, oy.
Like, we can do the entire thing about policy, right? We can talk about taxes, or we can talk about abortion, or we can talk about foreign policy, whatever you want to do, border, blah, blah, blah.
Right. We can talk about any of the other monstrous things that you guys believe, but no, let's just bring it to basic. I don't think that you're as cool as I am. Let's bring it down to that. And let's see, how effective the message is.
But there is also something else happening here. Show me a male Democrat who really comes off like a man. And by the way, that has nothing to do with sexuality or...
Literally all the guys in power in the Democrat, in the House and the Senate, like, I mean, anyone who identifies as a male who is in the chambers of Congress are representative of men. Like, what the fuck is this? Oh, well, how much do you bench? Can you do 5 push-ups? Can you do 10 push-ups? Hey, can you do a sit-up? Can you do as many sit-ups as me? Hey, can you beat up my dad? I bet you my dad could beat up your dad. Like, what is this content? Is it rage bait? Like, have I been trolled? It's possible. Pretty sure Dave Rubin just says what he thinks. And nothing to do with sexuality. Oh, just so I don't get canceled. Fuck you.
Anything else. What that has to do with, like, these people, why are they all always crying? Why are they all always...
What are you doing right now? Oh my god. Oh. How can you be this fucking dissonant? Like, why are they always crying? Would you? He says with tears in his eyes.
It's emoting. Why are...
Don't you have a show about this? Don't you have a show where all you do is cry and complain about people on the left? You have a show where that is your entire purpose for being in media, is crying and complaining about the left.
They all hysterical. Why can't they say bacon?
Hysterical? He looks like he's on the edge of tears, my friends. Do you see how red his eyes are? Either he's stoned, but Republicans don't do that, or he's about to cry like a little bitch baby boy he is. Cut the cameras! Cut him! Please!
Basic truths. There is something wrong with these people, and I think when you really understand that psychological
just slips basic truths in there, you know?
These are the 5 stages of progressive Christianity.
Now this is Redeemed Zoomer. Now he asserts that yes, this actually exists. So let's see if we agree.
Stage 1, Christian guilt. The idea that Christianity needs to progress starts with the idea that there's something wrong with historic Christianity. People...
according to the Bible. So confirmed that there's some pretty bad stuff in historical Christianity, as well as all the people since it was written that did things in the name of it, like slavery and murder and, you know, all that stuff, genocides and whatnot.
On this stage still believe what the Bible says, but also feel like the church has a bad history of being racist, sexist, and homophobic. Stage 2, disordered focus. Common in your average boomer mainline church. They still believe the gospel, but spend a lot more time preaching about social justice and politics.
This is sort of the experience that I had with people growing up in the church that my mom worked alongside of. This would be the majority of people who surround the Salvation Army spaces. Like, they're charitable, and I think it's just like you know, the police. Like, the guy on the street working the beat, beating his meat. Sorry, I was trying to think of rhymes, and it went sideways pretty quickly, so I'll stop doing that. A guy on the street doesn't really know the motives of his captain, and if he does, then those are the bad apples that people talk about. But the captain could be a bad guy, or the captain could be a good guy, and maybe he doesn't know the motives of the guy who's in charge of him. Like, that's the reason behind compartmentalization and why military and branches of the government and the alphabet agencies, why they all operate behind all kinds of different layers of compartmentalization. It's so that they say it's for security, but it's also for culpability. It's so that you know, if I'm working the beat and my chief gives me an order to shoot somebody, I should probably listen. I could confirm. I would say confirm again. I might even share that. I mean, it would show that I lack discipline, but I might even share that I feel uncomfortable with it. I could even outright refuse it. But if I didn't, I would feel, and if I didn't and I shot the person, I would want to be able to feel vindicated knowing that I did the right thing by trusting that my chief was asking me to do something that was absolutely 100% necessary. So if someone says that all cops are bastards and truly believes that, then they are going a little bit too far, in my opinion, simply because, again, the guy on the street may not know the motives of his chief. He may do things that he thinks is right and end up being wrong, but that is not his fault. It's not an excuse, but it is not his fault. And that's sort of the system that is built to allow cops to sleep at night, or to allow the chief to sleep at night, or to allow the president to sleep at night, because he doesn't necessarily, hear about the assassinations that are carried out in his name. He simply signs the sheet that pays the shell company, that pays the radicalist, that then radicalizes the person who then goes and does it. See what I'm saying? That's how the church is, if I was to dovetail that. The church is very, we've set up all of these rules and edicts to essentially trap people within the faith, for lack of a better word, to convince people, to recruit people, but that it's not, I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's a trap. Even the guy that I had come, like, he did some plumbing work, and I had a Jehovah's Witness brochure magnet on magneted to my fridge because I thought it looked funny. It was like a picture of like a rockabilly Jesus, and I was just standing in my kitchen while he was talking to me about like the work that he was doing, and he's about to leave, and he looks and he's like, oh, I see you got the trap. You guys go to temple? And I was like, let me just change my perspective. I was like, excuse me, sir. And I kind of leaned on my like butcher block table, and I was like, tell me more. What is this? You called this the trap? And he's like, yeah, the trap. You like, are you religious? And I was like, I like researching religion. Like, I like learning stuff about different religions. And he was like, oh, I'll be on my way. Thanks. He like skedaddled real quick. So I don't know if he like gave up a bit of the game there or what he was doing, but he called it the trap. So I'm gonna go with his language on that. If I can use an anecdotal reason to further hate Jehovah's Witnesses. Aside from the whole no fun thing, like who does that? Who limits their life like that? Come on, no fun. It's like they don't even do like a Rumspringa or anything. Ugh. Goddamn Quakers. They started this shit. Fundamentalists. So in terms of religion, if you do decide that you would like to debate any kind of religious stuff, Bible, whatever. By the way, if you're just joining, I'm Goose. Hello. Hello. Hello, hi. Hello and hi. I say that to my dog, the newest dog that we just got a few months ago. I don't know why we got into this pattern, but we initially, when we met her, like, you know how they have you like go into a room so that you can like, chill with the dog and get them comfortable with you, and then like get to know them and stuff like that. And then they're like, are you gonna adopt or not? She came in and she was scared. I think she was a puppy. She's still kind of a puppy, and I don't even know where she's in. I think she's in this little dog tent that's like right. Yeah, it looks fat, so she's probably in it. Not that she's fat, but so she came into the room, and I don't know why, but my wife and I just both started repeating like, hello, hello. I can't say it too many more times because then she'll get super excited, but that's, now she associates that with like a greeting. Like she's like, oh, what are we doing? Are we gonna go and do something? What are we doing? Yeah, she's tossing and turning, shifting, if you will. But yeah, so churches are structured in a very like, you may not, if you are a preacher and you're, the shepherd for your flock, you may truly believe the stuff in the Bible, and you may truly have interpreted it in a way that isn't like, problematic, very unlikely, but because, in order to follow the Bible, you're gonna have to accept a lot of like pretty heinous shit. But perhaps, you know, there is someone like that out there. They may not know what all Christians are doing, nor are they responsible for the actions of the guys that oversee the religion itself, which I guess would just be God in the Christian sense, or the Pope in the Catholic sense. So yeah, I don't think that all churches are necessarily havens of, you know, hypocrisy, but most are, unfortunately.
Stage 3, scripture denial. This is when churches openly ignore what the Bible says.
What I was talking about. So I guess I'm talking about progressive churches. The ones that I would like to see are more stage 3s.
About sexuality, marriage, and abortion. They're also...
I mean... Let's understand that when the Hebrews were leaving Egypt, they were told how to live in their new land, their new holy land or destined land or whatever the hell it was. And God basically said that in order to keep the population under control, you're gonna have to go and have some male-on-male relations, or you're gonna have to, what was it? Wasn't cheating on your wife. It was... Yeah. No, it was letting your brother, it was being cucked by your brother, I think was the other thing in the Bible. So you can't, they don't let you jerk it because they say that spilling your seed outside of a woman is a bad idea, but they do tell you to go and lay with Egyptian, like with their slaves, including your like men. Like you get to just like, you got to put it in a hole, or else if it doesn't go in a hole, it's bad, it's a sin. So I would say marriage is covered in that, and if I didn't agree with the LGBTQ agenda, then I would probably not want to follow the scripture because it's pretty ambiguous in there. Also, God's non-binary. Just saying. The abortion thing, I don't know that it necessarily endorses abortion itself, but I know that it does give instruction for how to do it. And that's when setting up the laws that the Hebrews are supposed to be, the Israelites, I think, now that they are no longer slaves. I don't remember when, if that's a transition that they made, but the point is that they were specifically instructed on it. So there's clearly going to be some precedent for it that necessitates needing to have a written record of how to do one. Just saying. And yeah, so we covered sexuality and marriage in one fell swoop. Because yeah, I think you're supposed to, if you get to if you need to go to horny jail, like if you're so horned up that like you just gotta pound on whatever, I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go into your brother's wife or your slaves. Because if you own your slaves, then you can do whatever you want to them. So that's like, I think that's how it was set up back then. Something about cucking somebody. Whatever you do, you can't quote spill your seed outside of a woman or outside of a internal biological hole. All right? Keep that in mind, Christians, when you get all horned up.
He said MS-13 gang members are rapists and criminals, but I just think that they want a better life, don't you?
He didn't. Did somebody say that? I don't think that anybody said anything about just MS-13, because Trump did say that Mexico wasn't sending their best, that they were sending rapists and murderers. So I don't know if that was her point, but let's.
Oh, of course.
I don't want to like comment on the coming up. I'd rather like comment on the the action.
I agree with you. We need to preemptively kill children that are going to be born into poor families.
I mean, if you have to get so micro that you're caught up in defining what a life is or what a fetus is or what a child is, then you've already lost. You've already lost the argument, because there's no reason to keep talking. Like it's just about rights. That's all it is. If we can't acknowledge as a society that whatever is in a womb is alive, Like, if we can't collectively agree, then you need to accept that. And you need to accept that, you know, what the thing that you are opining on, which most of the people opining on it don't even have uteruses. You have to acknowledge that the thing that you're opining on is about the autonomy of another person. And it doesn't matter. Like, I know that, you know, the consensus is that, you know, pregnancies are essentially parasitic relationships, and that you have to be able to make the choices that you feel are best for you. I don't even think it should go that far. I think we should be keeping our freaking hands off women's bodies in general. Like, why are we trying to argue over whether a clump of cells is alive instead of just saying, like, I'm gonna provide the best education that I can to give my tools, or to give my tools the best kids they can, to give my kids the best tools that they can to make it as far as they can in life. And a lot of that is going to include sexual health and sex ed when they're growing up, like things that people see as demonizations of society, or deplorable, or evil, or dirty, you know, like all that shit. Oh my god, my AC is gonna blow! That's just it's running out of water. Give me a moment, I'm gonna turn it off. If I didn't turn it off, it would just keep beeping. And you don't want to let it keep beeping. No, sir. I don't know which sin it would be, but I would agree that it would be a sin. Alright, nobody cares about your splash screen.
No, that's Caitlin. God bless Trump.
Did you say God bless Trump? Do that.
You don't want to get rid of waste and fraud?
Yeah, in the White House.
You don't want to get rid of waste and fraud in the federal government? All the bloat?
In the White House.
What do you mean down with those? You mean up with those?
No, down with...
I mean, I would feel pretty weird, like, wanting to allow people to just do whatever they wanted with all the financial records that we have. And Elon Musk doesn't seem like a very stable individual. So on its face, it would be bad.
You love those. Yes, you do.
You don't like saving money?
They've already
like
saved
it being ripped off. I don't want to give it to billionaires.
They've already saved the taxpayers $2,000, they say.
$2,000?
Those, $2,000 already so far. Yeah.
And how many billions has the country lost?
All I'm saying is we're saving money for the American taxpayer. Doge is great. Department of Government Efficiency. That's a great thing.
You can't, I mean... Alright then, if I name myself King of the World, that makes me King of the World in their eyes. Like, you can't just name something a certain thing and think like that's what makes it that thing. Again, that's like what a child does. That's stupid. Don't be stupid.
My ovaries.
I got a question for you. Donald Trump says there's 2 genders. Do you agree?
No.
How many genders are there?
As many as I want there.
As many as you want.
I need a number though. Is there a number?
No,
there is no number.
That's the point, you dumb
There is no number. Yep. There is no number.
What are you?
Actually, college graduate, thank you.
What are you, like a non-binary? What are you?
I am. What's
Yeah.
the gender?
Yeah. You're one of those non-binaries, huh?
Who are you? Oh.
That's so strange.
That was so weird. That was so weird.
That's so uncomfortable.
That was so weird.
Right. Because they're not the ones that are sitting there harassing this person. Like, they didn't come to them saying like, oh, what do you think about this? Like, Trump said there's only 2 genders. What do you say? What do you say to that? What do you say to that, huh, lib? Huh? Oh, you're so weird. You're so weird. Fuck off.
She just
I
showed you her
No. Oh my god. That was the point. Like, that's not a, you can't do that. Like, if you don't have tits, you can't show somebody your tits. Like, that's why they did what they did. Oh my God. And it just goes right over their heads.
I want to collect my hat.
Are you going to put it in your house? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. She's good.
That is a hard pass.
Ugh, gross. Like, who gives a shit if you don't want to fuck somebody? Who are you? Who gives a shit, like, what your opinion is? Like, oh, hard pass. Oh, that must mean she's objectively ugly. And, like, fuck, man. Grandmas get down. Shit. People fucking into their 80s. Why do you think, like, STIs are so common in freaking retirement homes? You dingleberry.
Yeah.
How you doing? What's up? Just looking at your signs.
I'm gonna smash this bowl while we're watching, so if I'm silent for 25 seconds, then I apologize, but that's just necessary.
I love your sign, by the way.
You want the artwork
I love the sign, yeah.
You want the artwork for it?
I agree. That Donald Trump, it feels like that.
And so what brings you out here?
I care about my democracy. I care about the future of this country. I have children. Okay, I've lived a good life, but they're being set up for a miserable future.
Yeah, we need to protect the children for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here for the kids.
So you're pro-life?
I am not pro-life. I'm pro-choice.
What about protecting the children?
I want to make sure that the children that are born are wanted and cared for and afforded, that the people who are having them can raise them and not have to worry about whether or not they can get medical care for them or food for them or education for them. Okay, it's crazy what's going on right now. My feeling is that the whole GOP strategy is to force you into birth and then watch your children starve.
I agree with you. We need to preemptively kill children that are going to be born into poor families.
I mean, I don't think anyone was saying that. But replace poor families with migrants, and I guarantee you he'd be on board. Guaranteed. You know the type. The tech bro, men's rights activist, neckbeard without a neckbeard type.
Right?
No, we don't have to preemptively
Very
kill
hot these
children.
days. Very hot these
No, that's
days.
not what I just said. No.
I agree with you on it, though.
No.
We should abort the children and kill them in an abortion because we shouldn't have a bunch of poor kids running around.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you have to accept that abortion is murder, and there's many people who do not accept that. There's actually the majority of people who do not accept that. That's why those laws haven't passed. So, I mean, like, Dave Rubin said, why are they always crying? Why are they always emoting? Like, this is that. Continued.
Cared for.
No. You are totally distorting this.
You don't agree?
I agree with you 100%. I do.
You're distorting that. You're distorting that.
We shouldn't kill children through abortion.
What percentage of America agrees that abortion is murder? Clearly not enough to overturn any of the initiatives that have been started to prevent it. Why can't we just let the results speak for themselves? Silent majority.
We should give women autonomy over their bodies.
It's their body.
Yeah. What about the women in the womb?
I care about the woman who's alive today and well. And I care about her having autonomy over her own body.
When does a woman in the womb become alive?
I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist.
I am.
I do know you are.
I identify as a scientist, and they say that life begins at conception.
Identify.
Do you have children?
You're distorting.
Yes, I do.
Just
So
any
was
points
the
that you could have
baby in
made.
your womb that was moving around,
Losing all
kicking you,
credibility.
wasn't alive?
At what point are you talking about?
Any point.
Nice talking to you.
I agree with her, by the way.
Yeah, let's kill poor people.
Right.
Because we don't want poor babies running around destroying this country.
Who's saying that? Who said that at any point? Kill poor people because we don't want poor babies running around this country. That's what they walked away with. What? That's confusing.
Guys, that woman was so right. We need to preemptively kill baby.
And that's not at all what anybody was saying. So.
Well, it's down the road. It's our next chance. We've missed the last boat, but next time.
Do you think they'll be able to get him on the third time, like third time's the charm?
Well, I like the sound of that. I'll endorse that idea.
So right now, what would you like to see him be impeached for?
Many emoluments clauses that it seems like he's avoiding. I think I can't give you the whole list. I'm sorry. I'm not that focused.
What do you think about Trump running for a third term potentially?
I think it's against the law, and we shouldn't allow it.
I'm with the progressive Latinx.
Wrapping conversation. Don't talk to them.
You probably agree. So she wants to. She wants us to kill poor children, so they're not like running around the streets like with abortion.
Don't you get started.
Yeah, don't talk to the brown people. Don't talk to the.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what she was. She was being racist. Sure.
A poor house. She doesn't want poor babies.
I think what she meant to say, or what could have interpreted that to mean is, don't talk to the brown shirts.
Which we totally agree. Like, why not just kill all the poor kids? Like, that's just bad on the economy.
It would be good for her. We'd save taxes if we did that.
Yeah, no foster.
But like, I don't think that it's really anyone's assumption that we're just killing kids. It's such a severe perversion of anyone's point that it derails any reasonable discussion. I don't get, like, it's just for that own the libs moments, you know? Speaking of, look at this fucking guy.
Why do people go to prison?
For breaking the law?
There you go.
People go to prison for either repeatedly breaking laws or committing violent crime. Being found guilty of criminal offenses. And criminal offenses account for the minority of all crimes. Like, there are tax evasion is a crime. You know, lying under oath is a crime. And those are both, well, I guess, yeah, perjury is if you don't pay the fine, you go to jail. But you get what I'm saying. Civil versus criminal. He's making a dishonest point in the beginning, so it's hard to trust anything else he says.
So if there's too many people in prison, they commit too many crimes. There's other factors that play into crime, fatherlessness, and other things.
And how does that occur?
And notice the subtle black people bell whistle or dog whistle. Like, the fuck was that?
And other things.
What made him say fatherlessness? Does he maybe fetishize certain social groups, perhaps?
How does that occur?
Why is there fatherlessness? Because we subsidize single motherhood.
Oh, and then that old chestnut. That people are essentially being paid to sit on their asses by receiving welfare. The majority of people who receive welfare fucking work. And now 1.5 million is going to be kicked off of their programs because of this man's lies and the lies of the Trump administration. What a bunch of assholes. What a bunch of fucking dinguses.
In our country, and we have since the 1960s. Well, so let's ask the question.
Since the 1960s? Go fuck yourself, Charlie Kirk. Eat a big bag of dicks, because that is just blatantly untrue. Women were told to be in the kitchen until the late 80s. Like, when was the bra burning stuff? That was like the 70s, was it not? And we didn't pass any of the big welfare acts until like Clinton, Obama. What are you talking about?
So let me ask you a question. So if people decide to do drugs, whose fault is that? Even if coke gets run to the city, do you have to use it?
The question is, it's there.
Oh,
and
but
part of our decisions are always rested when the material
let's play
conditions
this
that
out.
we're living in.
If cocaine was right here and I took it, is it the person who dropped it there or my fault if I took it?
I think the question of fault
Wrong.
is a wrong one.
No, it's both. It would be your fault, but it would also be the guy who put it there's fault. It would also be, to a certain extent, everything that was connected to it in that entire line, all the way back. It's called chain of custody. It's a logistics term. That's right, I'm a nerd. I just made 2 sounds when I breathed in that I don't normally make, and that was disturbing. Oh my god. Call it cannabis, but also call it seasonal allergies. I just started taking a Claritin substitute. Alternative. I think it works. And I don't know why the accountability lesson is here. All this was nothing. But he's trying to make the point that it's my fault if I commit a crime and get arrested. Which is very easily a multi-layered issue. But I would say that the majority of the time you can take societal factors into account, which, because I used to get arrested a lot when I was a kid, maybe I did a few unsavory things sometimes, like forget to change my headlight bulb for too long, so long that it turns into a fine and then a potential bench warrant, and I have to then go in and get fingerprinted. Also accidental vandalism. So, but maybe I did some unsavory things, you know? Maybe I got that tear tattoo and I'm just covering it up with makeup, and maybe I got like some stripes inside the joint where nobody actually talks like this or does these hand motions, but you know what? That's okay. But did I black out again? Where was I going with that? The point is, accountability happens on a bunch of different layers, and if you really want to be a sociologist about it, you can go into how societal factors affect people that and how that drives them to habits and cycles of violence or cycles of criminality or whatever. Sure, you can do that, but that's for like scholars. I mean, that's for the kids that are going here, not someone that's in his 40s who goes to these campuses to argue with these kids, which is also pretty strange for the record. But also, like, it helps inform us how to govern society when we take into account the factors that lead people into cycles of criminality. Could it be that stationing your officers in one specific part of town that happens to be full of people that you don't personally agree with, whether it be a black community or a gay community or whatever minority you guys like to oppress the most, could that potentially result in more arrests in that area? And could not their public relations department talk about the success of these initiatives because more arrests are being made in these areas? And isn't it possible that perhaps some cops that are maybe less than scrupulous might start planting things on the criminals that are being arrested, in record numbers in this one area, resulting in repeated criminality because maybe they're too poor to afford counsel, or they are skeptical of defense attorneys or law enforcement in general. Maybe they're just over it, and for whatever reason they don't make bail, or they don't make the bail hearing, or they don't make the actual hearing or whatever and get a warrant for their arrest, thus resulting in a bunch of jail time, or even the initial offense gets them jail time, whatever the case may be. That's what leads to fatherlessness. And if we do it societally in different facets, like not only just the police, but if we do that in business, if there are businesses that tend to only hire a certain type of people, or, you know, businesses that are religious and don't really agree with certain groups, that perhaps that targeting might drive societal factors into a repeated cycle of either otherism or potentially criminality? Maybe, perhaps? And that inclusion and equity might just kind of flatten things out and bring us to a true plateau as a whole society. I think that would be pretty cool. Charlie Kirk doesn't seem to agree with that. And that's my take on accountability. And so clearly I don't agree with him. Because he's a piece of shit. I think people have made the comparison between TPUSA and toilet paper because I like that. I think that's fun. Toilet paper USA. It's fun. It's like, you know, hey, it's a little jab. Hey, oh, hey, take a jab here. Oh, hey, Charlie Kirk. Oh, you know. His face looks huge in this, by the way. I think they're using filters. That is not the real size of his face. Ooh, maybe he's been replaced by a body double. You know, like Trump had floated the idea that Biden was replaced.
As you go even deeper into space,
or with an android, I think? I think he said an android. Biden robot. What would it be like, Brandon AI? I don't know. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we are doing a call-in show. I tried to put that at the front of the title this time. Maybe get more people wanting to join, but it's been a steady trickle. I say that A, because it has been, but also B, because I like the word trickle. It's fun to say. Sorry for that pop again, if you're wearing headphones. But, yeah, we're doing call-ins. Again, sorry for that plosive as well, and that one. You're gonna click the link in either of the chats. They should be pinned to the top somewhere, and it'll bring you into the Discord. I believe it's directly to the waiting room. And if I don't have anyone in the box, then I will bring you up and we'll get to chit-chatting. I was supposed to be chit-chatting. I wasn't trying to repeat the word chatting. It was more of a enunciation problem than a brain fart. Anywho, we're gonna move on to Atheists Can't Explain What the James Webb Telescope Found in Deep Space.
Find galaxies upon galaxies upon galaxies upon galaxies.
If you acknowledge this, you cannot follow the Bible. Is that, like, hard to understand?
This is the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. Until recently, this was about as far out as we could see. Those little specks you see in the background, those are not stars. Those are galaxies with maybe 100.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Wow. So raising my eyebrow like The Rock does used to be like a reflex, but now, like, I think I overthink it. There it is. See? And I can even, like, but like I'm overthinking it. It's like it's freaking out on me. Oh,
100 billion stars in them, and there are thousands of them just in this image. The secularists, because they think you're looking into the past, believe that if you look far enough, you should be able to see galaxies just starting to form.
You can,
because in their view, the universe didn't come with galaxies. When the Big Bang happened, it was empty of galaxies, and then it took time for stars to form and collect into galaxies, and that's supposed to take hundreds of millions of years. And so if you look far enough back, you should see no galaxies at all. And just a little bit before that, you should see just a few galaxies, and they should be babies. And they didn't
quite
see
a ways
that
away
with the Hubble Deep Field. So they said we need a bigger telescope that can go even further out into space, and therefore, in their view, further back in time. Hence, they built the James Webb Space Telescope. It is one of the greatest technological marvels in the field of astronomy.
Oh my God, this is 20
and it's
minutes.
able to see much farther into space than the Hubble Space Telescope because of the way that it's designed. So the secularists made some predictions based on their view of origins on what the James Webb Space Telescope would see. Because they believe that you're looking back in time as you look farther into space. They were expecting that there should be fewer galaxies at great distances because you're looking back to a time when only a few of them had formed. And if you look far enough, you shouldn't see any at all. And that time would correspond to what we call a redshift of 14. The farther away a galaxy is, the more redshifted it is. Its light's been stretched out. And when it's been stretched out 14 times, according to the Big Bang, you're looking back to a time very shortly after the Big Bang where there should be no galaxies because they haven't had time to form yet.
He seems to
Okay? So look far enough
understand
to see
the
empty space.
concept.
Secondly, they predicted that the farthest galaxies that you do see should be little baby galaxies, low mass, clumpy, and irregular. And finally, they were predicting that the farthest galaxies would have no heavy elements heavier than lithium. So the three lightest elements, hydrogen, helium, and lithium, in the secular view, were supposed to...
See, okay, as I kind of always assert, if you have to get this micro with it, you know you're losing the point. Like, you're losing the entire argument. If you have to be like, well, it's all about the mass of the helium, it's the helium stack, you know. If we talk about, you know, crystals, then, you know, at that point it's like a subatomic, chromatic schnuberflaffen effect, you know, and we've got a klubenduben, and you gotta mix it with the schleepen-bleepen, you know, and then once they connect, then we got the crystal forming, and then you got the atom, and then that's all God right there, you know. I think I blacked out again.
To be produced in the Big Bang. And that's it. The Big Bang can't produce anything else. The heavy stuff like oxygen, it can't make it. If the Big Bang can only make hydrogen, helium, and lithium, what should the first stars be made of? Hydrogen, helium, and lithium, because that's the only elements available. Those are the secular predictions. I also predicted how I think they would respond when they're found.
But like, all of this is obfuscation. I feel like this is like a misdirect. This is a magician's trick. You know, street magicians. The whole point is that if you're acknowledging that space exists the way that it does, with galaxies and shit, then you have to acknowledge that the tools that we use to examine it might maybe work, potentially, if the math was right enough for us to get out there and maybe see that shit. Just in general. I'm just positing that. But also, if space is supposed to exist in the way that it does, wouldn't that disprove a lot of the stuff that happens in the Bible? Wouldn't that mean that God had to have created all of those galaxies as well? And like, wouldn't that kind of like mean that we're not special and that we're not God's chosen? Or that would mean that it's just humans everywhere. And it's just an entire universe of humans. You know how fucking creepy that would be? I would start feeling like there would definitely be a high likelihood that you would meet someone that looked exactly like you out there. Ugh. Creepy.
About to be wrong, okay? So in other words, I'm confident enough that James Webb will refute their predictions that I predicted how they would respond. And here's my prediction. Secularists will respond to their failed predictions with statements like this. Webb discovers that galaxies formed much earlier than previously thought. Because I'm predicting they'll find galaxies at much greater distances and they'll be mature galaxies, rather than give up the Big Bang, because that is sacred to them. That's their religion.
I mean, no. God, I hate it when people reduce science to that. A lot of the people that started science were religious, you fucking idiots. It's not... None of this is relevant because you can't follow the Bible and think that space exists. And to go even further, like, I would be skeptical to think that a true Christian can believe the earth is round. Like, I mean, I think that a lot of people in modern times shrug it off as like, oh, nobody would believe that. But there are people who do! And continue to make content for audiences and spread misinformation. That number does grow slowly, year over year, even though there are efforts against it, and I applaud them.
They're not going to give that up. I predict that they'll just push galaxy formation back to an earlier time. That's the rescuing device I predicted.
Yeah, that's how science evolves. That's how we learn shit. Like, time moves forward, we learn new things, and then we publish those thoughts and we talk to people about it, and we educate them on the new developments in science. And sometimes that science says, oh, the universe is bigger than we thought. It also could be that perhaps the universe is growing or expanding as they theorize, and that, you know, we're having to see things further back, but we're not necessarily seeing new things because the galaxy or the universe has expanded since we last were able to make the right innovations to see further back in time. I don't even think that we can see the Big Bang yet. I think that we can see like a little dot, you know, on a graph somewhere. But I don't think we've seen the Big Bang, because it was a slow process. There was no singularity the way that you would understand it. Saying that a singularity is synonymous with the type that you're talking about with a black hole, like a Higgs boson, whatever the hell that's called. That's not the same thing. The singularity is like when the big crunch happened and it all just formed into like a single point or something. I'm not sure what the science is behind that, but then that's when, and like, again, if you're getting that micro, if you're saying like, well, what lies beyond the threshold of the Big Bang, then you know you're losing the argument already. So I find it weird to keep going down that path, because it's like infinite, like you just keep infinite regression, I think is what it's called. Anyway, this whole thing feels moot. Like it just feels so, oh, maybe he's astronomy in the Bible, maybe he explains it.
Basics of astronomy. Well, when the Bible touches on the basics of astronomy, it's always right. And it would have to be because it's the Word of God. Now, of course, people have said, well, the Bible's...
You can't just say something's true because it's God's words. That's stupid.
Not an astronomy textbook. That's certainly true, because astronomy textbooks, we have to update them every few years when we learn we got some things wrong. But God will never...
Not wrong. When you learn new information, what a dishonest prick.
Have to update the Bible because you got it right the first time.
No! Then you guys support slavery, cuckolding, gay sex, abortions, slavery, murdering babies en masse. If God got it right the first time, you support all those things. If you say that the Bible never had to be updated, if any conscious person had the choice to throughout time make revisions after he learned new information to the sacred text you all follow, wouldn't he have done so? Or was it perhaps just written by a bunch of potentially corrupt assholes who just wanted to keep a certain group of people in check? Gullible people and innocent people. Or is it just a book that happens to be used to justify things like slavery and murder, genocide, ethnic cleansing? Something to mull over.
And when the Bible touches on astronomy,
I'm feeling like I'm more spicy today than normal. I don't know what's leading to that.
It's exactly right. Despite the fact
I got that
many of these
masculine
verses,
energy,
when they were written, would have gone against what the majority of people thought at the time. Let me give you a few examples of this. The Bible teaches that the shape of the earth is round, in particular spherical, and that's mentioned in passages like Job 26:10, which says that God has inscribed.
God, has inscribed a circle on the surface of the waters and the boundary of light and darkness. How you have to reach to think that means that that's what he's saying, the shape of the earth, feels a little far, but I'll roll with it for now.
A circle on the surface of the waters at the boundary between light and darkness. And that circle is what astronomers call the terminator. That's where light stops or terminates on the earth. And you can see it right there. And it is always a circle.
Where are you pulling that from?
Because the earth is spherical. A sphere is the...
You can put a circle on a flat plane. What is preventing you from putting a circle on a flat plane?
Only shape that always produces a circle.
The circle is the only thing that's ever met. It never says that Earth is a sphere in the Bible.
Circular terminator. No other shape will do that. And so the fact that the terminator is circular is mentioned.
That's no. You can't say this is what they meant. So if that's what they meant, then I can now apply my definition to whatever that is. That's so you can't just make up your own meaning to things. That's not how definitions work. If it was defined this way, then that proves my argument. Yeah, if you just make it up and you just go along with it, of course. Of course, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Trapeze. Jacuzzi. Trying to think of names that are things.
in Job chapter 26, verse 10. Now, I think that's very interesting because Job 26:10, Job, we think, was written around 2000 BC.
Okay,
we actually think it's the oldest book of the Bible to have been written.
admit.
Moses hadn't yet written Genesis, even though Genesis records earlier information than Job. But I think that's fascinating because at that time, I'm not aware of any culture that believed in a round earth. And indeed, it wasn't.
That includes Christians. Most Christians, I would argue. I just hit space on a different window. I don't know what the hell I just did, but I hope I didn't do anything to screw anything up. Hello, we're still live.
I made a post on LinkedIn.
Oh God, is this a thirst trap? Is this still the one? Yeah.
Around 500 BC that the Greeks finally caught up to that and said, you know, the Earth really must be spherical, and they had good reasons for that. Aristotle produced good reasons for that. The fact that the Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse is always round, no matter the angle, you know, the orientation of the Earth and the sun and the moon. The Earth's always between them, but it always produces a circle, indicates that the world is spherical. But until 500 BC, as far as I know, all pagan cultures believed the Earth was flat, and usually a flat disk.
No, why? Christianity stole a bunch of shit from the pagans. So go fuck yourself on that one before ethnically cleansing them. But also, like, why just make shit up? Like that, it's, if you say in your holy text that something's a circle, and then you just like go off queen and say that, oh, pagan religions thought that the earth was flat, but you're not accounting for what the literal words of the Bible say. Nothing about a sphere or about a round earth. And I'm not trying to prove or disprove that the earth is flat, because we all know it's fucking round, but the point that I'm trying to make is that it doesn't say that in the Bible. It doesn't say sphere, it doesn't say round, it says circle. Inscribed a circle in the place between shadow and light. I mean, you're making a big old stretch there, buddy. And I don't think old dick can cover the distance. And now, did that sound as badass as I thought it did? Because I thought that sounded pretty cool. Am I just being old? I'm okay with that. I can accept that.
The earth also floats in space, and that's something the Bible teaches in Job chapter 26, verse 7, that God
The earth floats in space?
hangs the earth upon nothing. A beautiful poetic description.
Not correct, but also merely an oversimplification.
The nature of earth floating there in space, orbiting the sun, in fact. The expansion of the universe. The Bible teaches in Isaiah 40:22 that God stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. Isn't that interesting? Apparently, God started the universe with some size, and he stretched it out. It's bigger now than it used to be, and if that were the case...
Oh boy, so, I mean, you're still not talking about it being round, so first premise is just ungodly awful.
We would expect that galaxies initially were closer together, and then as God stretches out the heavens, they get further apart. And that leaves a telltale signature. As the galaxies move farther apart, they redshift, and we think that's what's responsible for what we call the Hubble law. So, and that was discovered in the late 1920s, the Hubble law, the fact that galaxies are redshifted, and the farther away they are, the more redshifted they are, because they're all...
Now, I know he's probably being dishonest in some way when he's describing this, but I don't know enough about it to call it out.
Moving away from us and from each other as well. So it's as if the entire universe is getting bigger. By the way, there's recent evidence that as they move away from each other, they do not stretch the fabric of space with them, which is something that was previously thought for about 100 years. But we have James Webb Space Telescope data that shows that that's probably not the case. And I've actually published an article on that, and the answer is...
Gonna have to ask, who gives a flying fuck? But go on, sir.
Research journal that you can read about. It was published just last year. So look through the previous volume to see that. You're considered foolish if you believe the universe is thousands of years old. But I'm going to suggest to you to reject the Bible's age of the universe is foolish. God was the only one who was there when he created it. He's the one that created it. And he never lies, and he has all knowledge. He knows how old the universe is. He spoke it into existence, and he did that in 6 days, a few thousand years ago. And the fact is, the evidence lines up with that. What is presented in schools...
I don't know what you're basing that on, but it's incorrect.
As proof of billions of years isn't evidence, it's assumptions. And I want to show you this. The Bible's very clear that God created in 6...
No. Radiometric dating is fairly reliable. And, well, up to a certain point. And the margin of error that it accepts is quite low. It's quite a small ratio. So we know pretty within a couple billion years, we know how old the Earth is, and it's like 38 something. I think I'd have to Google it again, but I think it's like 38 something billion years old, something like that. I might be mixing that with a different number. It's crazy to just deny science.
Days. Those are ordinary days because each one has an evening and a morning and a number with it. So they're Earth rotations. Human beings are made on day 6. And from the genealogies, that was a few thousand years ago, about 6,000 years ago, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's legit. Was this intentional? Do you think that they meant to do this? That's very entertaining to me, and I don't know if this was if that was what they wanted. Dinosaurs. And why? I mean, if we look, I guess we could use perspective, but if we look at the proportions between the guy and the woman, like the woman is like 7 feet tall and the guy's like 5'9". This is how a lot of problematic men see themselves. I'm gonna live on an island with a bear, a woman, and a brontosaurus. You know, if you gotta tan your balls to get that, then a small price to pay.
This is the best argument.
That video's done.
For the concept of God.
The universe is made of space, matter, and time. So therefore, the cause.
What did he say?
This is the best argument for the concept of God.
Best argument for the
The
concept of
universe
God.
is made of space, matter, and time. So therefore, the cause cannot be made.
I don't know what you mean by we live in a state of space, matter, and time. That doesn't make sense, but I guess I'll assume that you mean just we live in reality?
Of space, matter, or time. That's where we point to God.
What?
Not be made of space, matter, or time. That's where we point to God.
I'm sorry. What is your point?
So therefore, the cause cannot be made of space, matter.
I feel like I've heard this before.
Or time.
What are you talking about? The universe includes the concept of space, and space and time exist together, and matter exists in the universe? What the fuck is what are you not understanding?
That's where we point.
And then you don't just point to God. There's so much other stuff in between. Oh, well, we can't explain this one thing. And God? Oh, it was God. Oh, must have been God. Must have been God. Oh, I don't know how I murdered all these people. Oh, it must have been God. Is that my cat in the blender? I don't know how that happened. It must have been God. Oh, I'm a holy man. If that man repents and means it, he's going to heaven.
To God. God is spaceless, eternal, and matterless or without form. He is the force that created everything. After you establish this foundation, you can then point and prove why Christ.
What the fuck? Where's the rest of it? Did he edit some of this out?
He is a force.
Oh my god. Did he think? Okay, so he thought this was really cool. Like he wrote this down one day and he's like, oh, I figured it out, you guys. I figured it out. I finally did it. I finally answered the question. What are the 3 ways to get to God? I finally got it, you guys. I'm gonna monetize the shit out of this.
Point to God. God is spaceless, eternal, and matterless or without form. He is the force that created everything. After you establish.
What was the reason why we're assuming all this? Why first, we don't know if God's real. You can't just. You came up with a concept here that said that we live in a state. What the fuck do you mean of space, matter, and time? A state of space? Huh? We live in a state of space, matter, and time. That doesn't mean anything. If you say that space and time happen to coexist, you move through space, time passes. Time expresses age upon you. You're manipulating your way through space. You are made of matter. Things are made of matter. The universe is made of matter. Where do you come to the conclusion? Like, is somebody telling you that you can't have a thing that is made up of another of another thing, or a thing that is made up of its constituents? Because that's just plain wrong, first of all. But is that like a Bible thing? Like, do you believe that? Is it specific to the concepts of space, matter, and time? Like, you say that the universe can't be made of those things? Like, that confuses me. I don't think that I fully understand where that's coming from. And even then, even if I knew the reasoning behind it, I don't think I would just step right over to God. I think I would be like, well, okay, what other factors do we know? Do we know...
That's where we point.
Slapping it on with a post-it note is just the height of hilarity to me. I don't know why, but it is fucking hilarious. Saying that we live in a state of space, matter, and time, first of all, doesn't make sense. But you've made a concept that doesn't make sense. Now you're piling on top of it the fact that the universe cannot be made of any of these things, which is such a strange limitation to put on such the thing that houses everything. Like, all those things are inside of that. Like, why are you trying to make them mutually exclusive? So not only are you taking a concept that doesn't make sense, but then you're piling on top of it some strict criteria that also doesn't make sense, that doesn't result in anything other than the point you're trying to make. And then you slap a post-it on that says God, and automatically, oh, God. Now that we know it was God, then he's piling more stuff on.
That's where we point to God.
You're just saying that something is, we have the solution, it's God. Don't worry about any of the specifics. Now we know that God is real. Now we can say that God is spaceless,
and matterless,
he's eternal, he's matterless. Right?
He is a force.
But we don't even know. You didn't prove that God exists. You made the claim that God, but you didn't say anything about it. That you're just like God. Now, if God, God is spaceless, eternal, matterless, and he's a force creating.
That created everything.
What we know. Okay. And a fart could have created everything. Now that we know that a fart created everything, was the fart stinky? Did it linger? Or did it travel to a couple of different rooms? And did you blame it on the dog, or was it the dog? Now we know these things.
After you establish this foundation,
after you've established that foundation,
you then point and prove why Christ
you can then point and prove
God.
Why Christ is God. There you go. There you go. Farts created everything. I proved it. Just the same way that he proved that. Look at all those evidences. Oh yeah, I mean, Helmet, we're not treading into any new territory here for the record. No, that's fine, man. I don't sweat it.
Agnostic feels right because I can reject maybe some of the organized religion, but not fully. I can say, like, yeah, you could be right. There's a possibility that happens, but I can't say with 100% certainty that there isn't some higher being, regardless of what that looks like.
You spent how long to not say anything? That was what? 25 seconds? He didn't say anything in that entire thing.
You turn off this part of your brain, your threat detector, and you become an atheist, you become anti-racist, and you lose the capacity to evolve and adapt.
I'm sorry? What? So, hold on.
You turn off this part of your brain, your threat detector, and you become an atheist.
Okay, that I can understand. I don't know where you're getting this biological fact but what is this one?
Become anti-racist. And
was this an afterthought in the script? I think he was looking over this and he was like, I gotta add another culture war thing into that, because then he tries to make this point.
You lose the capacity to evolve and adapt.
So let me understand this correctly. The criteria behind which, or the criteria that one has to fulfill in order to have a effective threat detection part of their brain, they have to be racist and believe in God? What? Uberboy Clips 1788? Is this like another AI slap channel? I don't know what's happening.
Therefore turning into the last man at the end of history.
But then you're adaptable and you survive?
This is quite brutal. It's actually a serious subversion of liberal morality, suggesting that perhaps what we're experiencing, as Nietzsche prophesized, are not new moral values that are progressing us. This is how they are sold. Progress and going forward is about adopting these moral values of atheism, anti-racism. And I don't know, calmness or relaxing into the city life. That is not a signal at all of any type of education or sophistication or improvement in mankind.
He's not necessarily like going back on it. He's not saying that you just shouldn't be racist.
It's actually just a signal that a neurological part of mankind is turning off.
Oh, he's one of those people probably that believes that racism is like natural. That you were like, people are born racist.
That people are becoming more like the last man. That's a brutal subversion of our entire moral paradigm defined within our heads.
I'm sorry?
You turn off this part.
It's not. It really is still contingent upon each individual person to be responsible for how they act within society. That's still a thing. We still don't like people who like murder babies in the street and then drain their blood into the sewers. Like, that would probably get someone kicked out of society, you know, arrested even, because it's like severely against the law. So like, what it's a black baby, no one cares.
God allows evil, therefore God is evil. Wait, let me explain. People see evil and suffering, war, murder, injustice, and say, there's a good God, why not stop it? But here's the thing, if God forced us to only do good, we'd have no real choice. Free will means real choices, including the choice to do wrong. Second, evil doesn't mean God caused it. It means people misuse freedom. Without real freedom, love, goodness, sacrifice, none of it means anything. And last, evil doesn't get the final say. A creator who's all good and just holds every soul accountable. Evil's temporary. Justice is ultimate.
I mean, if you repent, you go to heaven. Flat out.
So evil's existence doesn't prove God is evil. It proves humans have freedom, and real freedom comes with responsibility. What do you think? Does evil disprove God, or does it prove we're truly free? Comment below. I'll respond.
I mean, like, why is it up to one single entity to decide what's right and what's wrong? Like, that's so strange that so many people are like drawn to this idea. I think it's a collective misunderstanding of what the intent is behind their fears. And I think a lot of that is in a loss of control. If you've somehow lost, if you feel like you've lost control and that you're losing things, like you're losing rights or you're losing freedoms, then you're going to lash out at the easiest people to lash out to. And it's typically the people who are marginalized, who don't have a lot of protectors out there. And I think that religion acts a lot like therapy. Edward, if you want to join, you just click the Discord link in the pinned chat message, and then you'll end up joining into the waiting room. And you can talk to me about one of the topics on the list here, if you'd like. Very simply. Very bada bing bada boom. Very easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. While you figure that out, I'm gonna go grab some more water and use the restroom. Give me 2 minutes. Starting now! Counting. Counting. Oh my god. Counting, I still have to pee. I see you in the waiting room. Alright, I'm coming. I'm a coming. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. Alright. Let me bring you up in here. Hey, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah,
Hello.
Can you hear me well?
I can indeed. How's it going?
That's nice. Yeah, pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. What's your name, or what would you like me to call you?
My name is Edward.
Edward, how's it going?
Yeah, like King Edward. Yeah, hello. Yeah, and how can I call you?
Either call me TJ or Goose.
TJ, I think TJ is fine. Okay. That's nice. Wait, let's see. I just found you, so bear with me. I'm sorry if I don't.
Sure.
Let's see. I see the debate topics. So you say you're.
Please.
I'm sorry if I
you like.
take the initiative. I'm not sure what you want to do right now, but
I'm happy to talk about any of those topics, or if you'd like to make a topic up that has to do with something Culture Wars related. I'm happy to go with the flow.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm just curious. Like you say, you're a lefty atheist. What does that mean to you?
I tend to fall on the left side of politics, and I do not believe in God.
Yeah. Okay. But like, with left side of the politics, you mean like the American system, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Because I'm from the Netherlands, so I'm like Democrat. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's cool. And with atheists, you mean that you definitely know there's no God, or you think there's a possibility there's a God? Like, how do you see yourself in that?
I mean, I think that anything can be true. I mean, magic could exist. Sorry, let me make sure my camera's focusing on.
I wish magic were true, because I really want a smoothie right now.
I know.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's invent magic.
To this point in my life, I have not seen enough evidence or proof that has convinced me that God exists.
Okay. Cool. No, that's totally fine. Okay. Shall I tell something about myself then? Maybe you can see how I see this, or like
sure,
my views and stuff.
If you want, what could help for both of us is probably just to see if you can sum it all up into a single statement, and then we can kind of dive into it, you know? So like, if you have a stance,
sure.
Then you could be like, this is my stance, you know, and then we can kind of dismantle it and kind of probe into it from there, you know?
Yeah, I will just tell like a little sentence of myself, and then say like a little commentary on your debate topics, right? So like,
sure.
Where I stand. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm from the Netherlands. I'm raised Catholic, was an atheist for a lot of years, and now I'm a Catholic again. Trans people exist. Let's see. Well, yeah, the trans people exist, of course, because if they don't, I don't really know what you mean. Yeah, I don't really know what you mean with trans people exist. Like, I know they exist. So that's one thing.
The typical culture war topic is that, or at least in the American discourse, is that trans people are either the result of a mentally ill person, or the result of someone acting in a criminal manner, or the result of someone trying to exploit systems that promote equality and equity, that kind of stuff. So in general, a lot of I would say alt-right and modern talking heads on the right side of politics in America tend to lump everybody in the trans community into those categories. And they say, like, oh, there's only two genders, and the science backs up what I say, denying, of course, science at the same time. So that's sort of my take on the trans people exist.
Okay, yeah, I have a different view of it. It's not the extreme, how you call it, alt-right position that they don't exist in that sense. As a Catholic, I'm trying to be as close to the Catholic teaching, of course.
Yeah, you got to make it mesh.
They do exist.
You got to make it make sense.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Like everyone needs to do, right? But it's important that you can fall really easily into the box of be very inhumane towards trans people. I do believe that they're human. I do believe they struggle with a underlying issue. That doesn't mean I see them less. So that's very important to say. I see them as equal as me and you.
Overall is caused by that underlying issue, or do you believe that that's simply a component?
I think it's multiple, components. So I think it's a trend. I think it's culturally so. I think it's also mentally. So it's a combination of,
So when you say culturally, do you mean the point where that people make sometimes where they say that it's like a social contagion, like that acceptance leads to more, like leads to expansion? Like is that sort of where you're going with that?
Leads to expansion. Look, I'm trying to be really careful because I think it's a very polarized topic, right? So I don't want to attack, so just a dialogue instead. Culturally, I mean, like in like if people, like with the people you're interacting with, that also shapes your worldview, right? So for example, I'm raised Catholic. My people around me, my parents say, like, you're raised Christian, so the God beliefs exists, blah blah, all this stuff. Therefore, if you like it or not, therefore you're more inclined to believe that type of stuff that you're associated with. Sorry, that's not my first language. So that's what I think. It's also how you're raised or what are your social circles. Yeah, and I think that's period.
I mean, I think that I can agree to some extent that acceptance can lead to more people coming out, or can lead to more people feeling comfortable within their communities, expressing themselves in the way that they feel comfortable. But I think that the idea that it's caused by acceptance, or that because it's trendy, I think is the popular arguing point for a lot of people here on the right. I think that idea comes from the left-handed fallacy, where back in the day they used to teach being left-handed like out of people, like they tried to train it out of people. They would hit you on the hands if you tried to write with your left hand, and people were saying that it was demonic and that it was like a sign of mental illness or anxiety or something caused by something else. And so then it came out that wasn't a demonic thing, that wasn't nothing wrong with it. and people became more accepting of everyone being left-handed. And then there was all this publicity that came out saying like social contagion, more and more left-handed people are cropping up all over the United States, and like it's a social pandemic. It's funny that this happened to, you know, people who were left-handed, because the very simple fact was that it was just more accepted, and it was then like not seen as any kind of a wrong, but there were still people out there who were trying to make it seem like the presence of more meant that it was causing more. And the problem is that it evolved into the same situation with, you know, gay people and now with trans people. And I think it's a very easy trap to fall into, but I do also think it's a trap.
I agree with your I agree with you. That is true. But do you also think that the trendiness of, I would just call it the trans movement, is also an influence? Like, do you think there are people that not necessarily have the, I would call it like no, I'm not gonna call it a mental issue, just a mental state, you know, like the underlying issue. It sounds so polarizing. It's so easy to be negative about it. What I mean is,
that's one of the problems, right? I think the discourse is it's hard to navigate in an inclusive manner.
Yeah, true. So like, if you understand what I'm trying to say, is like, do you think some people
I can only use myself
think they're
as
trans,
an
but they're
example,
not?
because I spent a lot of time in San Francisco. I spent most of my adulthood in San Francisco. I moved there when I was 18, and I didn't move away until like 35, 33, something like that. I got married there. You know, my wife is a native.
Wow, nice.
Like her parents, they've lived there generationally. Like they were born there. So we come from a long line of Franciscans. And you would think because I am an ally and because I am, you know, in like I like consider myself an ally, and I am active within the LGBTQ community. If it's true that being influenced by that kind of thing could convert someone, wouldn't I be gay or wouldn't I be trans? I still got the parts I was born with. I still identify with he, him pronouns, and I am not in love with a dude. So I don't know. And like I said, I
because of your marriage,
I make a joke that I can only use myself as an example, but I think that we have wide swaths of consensus data that that you can use a regional model to look at, because it's like San Francisco is known as the gay city, you know, but surprisingly few gay people live in San Francisco. So and it's certainly a shrinking ratio the more rich tech bros move into the city. So you would think that there'd be more gays if it is a social contagion. And let me tell you, being gay is still pretty trendy.
Sure.
So I feel like you can apply that to the trans debate as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree. Can I move on to the other I think if we just go to all the other topics, then we can just talk more in depth. Yeah, like so with the MAGA is a cult. I do believe some people take it a little too far, and it seems like a cult, and it does, you know, like we gotta define what a cult is, you know, like is it like a certain group with like they can't think for themselves, like a hive mind type of thing? Then you can call other stuff also.
I just go by
cult.
like the basic factors. There's a few different lists, but they all kind of have a very similar theme. So what I do is I go I say like there it is, signs you're in a cult. Signs you're in a cult. And obviously, you know, let me change my. Are you still able to see me in OBS, or in sorry, on the screen? So can you see the article that that I'm pulling up?
In the live stream, you mean?
Yeah.
Or, let me see. Yeah, you're a few seconds behind, so I gotta see.
Okay. That's okay.
I have you on mute on the YouTube, so I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see it now. Yeah, I see something.
All right, so this is actually the one that I've referenced a couple of times. It'll show up in a couple of seconds for you, but these are the factors that I tend to go to when determining if you might be in a cult. And I think that if we kind of go down the list, you can apply each of these factors to the MAGA crowd, especially now after all the recent news with Trump. Like, so let's just go down this real quick. Absolute authoritarianism without accountability. Sure. Trump refuses to take accountability. I think we can both agree on that for pretty much everything. Anything that he's been accused of, it's like, it's a witch hunt. It's not my mistake. I don't know that guy. You know, it's always something. It's always some kind of excuse.
I can get that. Yeah.
The next one is zero tolerance for criticism or questions. I think that dovetails nicely with the first one, because in the same breath, he's always like, oh, you're so nasty. You're always asking the nastiest questions.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I think we could say that it's zero tolerance because he's walked out of interviews. He's even faked like himself, like fake John Barron or something like that, the persona that he used when he called in to like CNN or Fox or whatever, like to try and promote himself. Like, it's just, he does all these like doubling back and doubling down moves to prevent criticism and questions. Lack of meaningful financial disclosure regarding budget. I think we, you know, if you're familiar with the 2016 and the recent election, I think you know a little bit about his tax. You know, everyone's saying like, God damn, just release your taxes already. And like talking about, he doesn't disclose,
that thing. Yeah,
and like he doesn't disclose how much he lost on his deals, like with his casinos or with any of the companies that he's bankrupt or run into the ground. So financial transparency is not a strong suit in the Trump administration, especially like even with the guys that are making like billion-dollar contracts with the Saudis and like taking planes home and shit. It's crazy. So financial disclosure.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't follow it that closely, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're rocking here. Like you'll be convinced. I believe you. I believe it. Number 4, unreasonable fears about the outside world that often involve evil conspiracies and persecutions. Remember that talk about all the witch hunts, about the Russia, you know, the Epstein thing that's going on. Like, he says it's a conspiracy, then he says, no, we have the list, then we says, no, we have the list, but I'm actually not on it, and then he says, oh, maybe I'm on it, but I never went to the island. Like, the conspiracies, the QAnon stuff, like Alex Jones, all that stuff used to be a close personal friend of his. Persecutions, you know, he's always being pursued by somebody. Someone's always trying to get him, you know, because he commits all these crimes, but he would never admit that.
Alex Jones is the guy with the frogs are gay, right? Or
Yep. They're making the frogs gay. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
They used to. He actually used to be kind of like investigative journalist. He fell out of that really quickly, but he did an investigation that I watched of a place called Bohemian Grove. That's like this like really conspiratorial sort of like, if you're from the Netherlands, midsummer type like regalia themed festival that takes place with all of like the world's or the America's like strongest leaders and corporate figures, and he actually like infiltrated it, and he was able to like go in as like part of the service staff, and I mean they got kicked out like immediately, but he was like, he took videotape of it and shit. It was really, really cool. And then he just fell right off the deep end and started talking about how Clinton was like a reptilian or something. He started okay, and then he kind of like
okay.
But yeah, so
you never know, right? Magic also can be true, right?
I hope so. I hope we figure that out someday. We just uploaded a PNG into a bird, so anything's possible at this point.
I saw that. That's so cool. Yeah,
it's so insane. Yep. I'm willing to do wood computation, like nature computation. Like if that, like we can just do that, that'd be cool. It's all the same sort of stuff
mining
anyway.
with birds.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man, the Earth's getting really hot for some reason.
Yeah.
The next one is a belief that former followers are always wrong for leaving, and there's never a legitimate reason for anyone else to leave. You know how Trump supports anyone who pushes back? Like he kicks them out of the party, calls them a rhino, gets them fired, or fires them himself. Definitely not a fan of people who either step away from the party or push back on what he wants, which dovetails nicely with abuse
sure, I can see
of
that,
members. You see how he treats like people like Ted Cruz, and he's even like talked shit about his own vice president, JD Vance. Like he promoted that meme that someone posted with him with the really fat face, the fat face meme thing.
Oh yeah,
he
that's funny.
That. like, why are you gonna do that? That's so mean.
Well, you know, it's gonna meme
books.
sometimes, you know.
Oh yeah, you know, hey, whatever. I guess that's a good motivator. Records, books, articles, or programs documenting the abuses of the leader or group. We've seen, like, Trump has his memoirs. He's done, I think, 2 memoirs since the first time he was president, and then his like kids have memoirs that they've had ghostwritten, like Triggered, and I think Trump, I think the other Trump has Eric Trump. I think he has a book too, or no, his wife I think might have a book. Either way, lots of documentation about the persecutions that the dear leader has gone through. Followers feel like they're never able to be good enough. I think that that's kind of an ambiguous one, but I also believe that it's evidenced by kind of looking at his most like ground level followers, like the moms and the dads and like all the whole families that go to his rallies and that sit out in the 90-degree weather or 100-degree whatever for like, you know, hours and hours and hours, or like the freezing cold. I think they follow him because they see in him a successful businessman, whether it's true or not, and they think that they may never reach that level of success, but they want that world for like their kids and their loved ones. And so I think that they legitimately have a desire to leave a better world for their family. It's a bit perverted, but I also think that that's wrapped up in a fear of not being able to be good enough for either whatever status they want or whatever type of life that they want. And I think that that's where
you mean like the ideal world they want to leave behind is not good enough ever.
Like the American dream, you know?
Sure, okay.
Like, I think there's a lot of people right now who are either at the age where they believe that they're probably never going to see it themselves, but they want it for their kids. And I think that they believe genuinely that Trump is the best person to give it to them. And so that, again, it's unfortunate, but it still falls within culty criteria. A belief that the leader is right at all times. I think you've seen people ready to fall on the sword for Trump in the news. Like, they are just willing to take any of the bullets. They're like, we need to distract from Epstein as much as possible. We need to make sure either that we debunk Epstein somehow, like we gotta figure out how to, like, like they'll bend over backwards to try to prove him correct. I say that with air quotes, but they try to do that to facilitate the leader being right at all times, so that they can then turn around and say, I trusted him all along. He was right all along. I knew he was right. I knew he had our best interests in mind, even if they had to make up the circumstances in order to get there, which is a dictator trick. That's like, you know, that's what all the fascist dictators did, like, constantly. You know, like the thought police, that sort of thing, making sure that everybody supports him because they kind of feel like they're gonna die if they don't.
Okay.
And the final one is a belief that the leader is the exclusive means of knowing truth or giving validation. Did you hear his speech when he was on the election trail this most recent time, where he was like, I'll be your savior, I'll be your rock, I'll be your the one that lifts you for women and children and blah 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 blah. Like, he also has said,
I do get a little yeah.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. I do think I get a little uncomfortable when he gets the whole thing with the when he got almost assassinated and that stuff. You know, with shooting in his ear, that he said he was saved by God. That's kind of uncomfortable, because it's very easy to say like, oh, God protected me in that sense. That makes me uncomfortable too. So I kind of get where you're coming from. Yeah.
Especially such an odious man. You know, someone who speaks so plainly about others. if you will.
Sometimes it's funny, you know. It's funny. It's you know.
Well, I think that's
doesn't
what
make
draws
it
a lot of
boring,
people
at least,
to
right?
Trump. Like his personality, the fact that he's willing to say, like, put up a middle finger and say "f you." Like, maybe it's not as edgy as I would be into, but like I understand that that's what draws a lot of people in because people are by their very nature, especially teenage boys who get those hormones a-ragin'. I just know that because I was once a teenage boy who had hormones a-ragin'. We get this like defiant quality to us, and we just want to do like whatever society doesn't expect. You think I'm gonna turn right? I'm gonna turn left. You think I'm gonna go in? I'm gonna go out. You know, like I think that's like a pretty like prevalent thing, and just happens to be more boys in the world, and that kind of influence can really affect society when those generations grow up. So then they teach their kids things.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like it's sort of where like the toxic masculinity idea comes from, and it's where like these movements like men's rights and like men's loneliness epidemic and the alt-right movement, that's where they all come from. Yeah, it's just this weird like I don't know what it is. It's tribalism, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
I think tribalism is a big part in politics from both sides, you know. So
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I can agree with that. Yeah. Like, look, I don't think it's very easy to say like, okay, MAGA, right? So that's a group. I think it's very easy to label a group of people, and it's a cult. Like, I'm sure I can agree with you with all the points, you know, like Trump and stuff. But I think the individual is also important because I think that also not helps with the whole left and right thing, you know, the polarization. I think if you say the entire MAGA movement is a cult, then I think people will also say like, yeah, maybe I'm a cult. I'm gonna be more cultish, you know. So I think that
hey, let them, you know, as long as they're
really
admitting
help.
it, that's fine.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like what, like you said, with the rebel spirit, right? Like, oh well, yeah, you say I'm a cult. I'm in a cult. Well, yeah, I'm gonna show you I'm in a cult. So like, you know, the rebel thing, not like they're actually a cult in like a cultish mindset. Like I'm sure there are a lot of people in the MAGA movement that aren't, you know, agreeing with everything what Trump says, right? Like I'm just trying to find the middleman here, or the middle way.
I wonder what their deal breaker is then, because I don't think that there is any good reason to stick with Trump after everything that he's been credibly accused of. I think anyone who claims to still be MAGA is
honest,
very cultish.
Sure, I do think like if they label themselves MAGA, then they also automatically subscribe to all the things he says is right. But I don't think that actually should work like that. But I do agree with you if
they may say they don't, but if they the problem with a cult is that you don't necessarily know what you're doing is wrong. Like you may think that what you're doing is right, and you may think that the dear leader is right because of whatever you've been fed or whatever your circumstances are. There are plenty of reasons why it's understandable why people would be in the positions that they are. However, where I draw the line is when a person hears the truth, hears what reality is, and understands that that is the truth and doesn't immediately dismiss it, then decides to stick with the same guy. You know, I have to question A, what kind of person they are, or B, how entrenched they are in whatever it is, cognitive dissonance, a cultish mentality, or cyclical trauma, whatever the impetus is. I'd have to question that, and I think that it's more comfortable to people, and I think it's safer for people, and I think that it's more just better in general for society if we're all just transparent with you know the things that we want. And so if
of course,
if we want a person to lead us in the way that Trump supporters want him to lead them, then they need to stop hiding behind the idea that it doesn't look semi-religious or like a cult. Because sticking with someone like, you know, throughout all of that trauma, throughout all of those lies and hypocrisy and all of that, sticking with someone feels concerning. It feels like I want to call the cops and say that there's domestic abuse on Trump supporters. Like they're saying
Stockholm
that they hit a
syndrome
door on the way out of the yeah exactly. Hey, don't you dare promote your own region in the world, all right?
No, I'm Dutch, not Norwegian.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Swedish.
I didn't remember if you said Netherlands or
man.
Norway.
What are you saying this? No, but I do think the issue is also, I think, the political system there, because like here in the Netherlands we have like 1 million different parties for every little type of thing. We have the pirate party for illegally downloading pirate games or something like that. We have we have just had a new party. It's the freedom of animals, so like a specific party for animals, and then we have the green party, and then the so like there are like 20 different parties you can vote from. So like if I were American, I do agree with some things Trump said. Take a grain of salt, because I only watch the news, and you can be very skeptical of the news right now. But
sure.
I don't see a better alternative then. So like if I don't really agree with all the stuff, like I don't agree with
a better alternative?
No, because some points that I'm very passionate about don't align with my political views. So I would rather, like, that's the whole point. Like I can't choose between Kamala, that supports views that I absolutely don't agree with, and Trump, that has a lot of good points, but some things I don't think are good either. So like you gotta choose between two evils. So like what can
I don't agree with that though. I don't think that you're comparing them equally if you say that you have to choose between two evils. I think that if you're applying your religion to civics, which a lot of people do. I mean, I think that most religious people apply their religion to civics. Then I think I know the matters that you're saying that you don't agree with, that's fine. You're talking about the biblical stuff. I think that if we are to progress as a society, we need to understand, and I mean globally, just people in general. We need to understand that freedom to does not mean the same as freedom from. So if you are trying to have a free country, a free nation where people can openly express themselves, then we as people need to understand that there are people that want other things from us, and it may be stuff that we may not agree with. And that's why we introduce legislation that either restricts or allows for things that we do or do not agree with. And like, I think that if we were to look at things with that basic framework, then the only candidate that would have had the best interests of the country in mind would have been Kamala, regardless of whether you're religious or not. Because if you are to allow the idea that society should be diverse, meaning diverse thought, to succeed, unless you want a theocracy, then you have to accept that there are people who do believe in abortion, and there are people who are gay and who will be openly gay, and there are people who are trans, etc. And you then should be able to, as a emotionally intelligent group of people, be able to navigate around that. And if you then feel like you have to turn around and legislate things for your points of view, then you've lost the message. The message is supposed to be equity, and that means value in the long run. And I'm speaking as a business owner. I think that equity is probably one of the most important things you can consider when starting a business. It's wrapped up in a lot of different criteria, but that overall term is extremely important. And I believe the same is important for even religious people, So that's just where I stand.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, sure. No, I get your point. What was my point?
Well, that Kamala would not have been.
It's cool that you're a business owner. Yeah. Okay, sure, yeah.
And thank you. I'm proud of it myself.
Yeah, I yeah, that's really cool. But I do think that freedom is important, because if I can talk a little about my religion, God gave us free will, so there's more a philosophical point of view. God gave us free will so we can do what we want to do, but that doesn't mean necessarily that is freedom. I think we should rephrase it like what we ought to do. So like there are right things and wrong things. I hope you also agree with that. There are certain bad things, whatever it happens, through time, it's still bad. I don't know if you think that.
You're just talking about morality in general?
Yeah, sure. Like, if morality is a... Sorry, I'm going in a tangent, but I'm trying to go around the point for a little bit. But, like, do you think, like... Because with Kamala...
Who is, I believe, a
maybe
Catholic.
It's the news. I don't know. Sorry?
Who is, I believe, a Catholic.
Yeah, true. And that's also a point. Like, you can be a Catholic, but you can't... If we go into this topic any other time, I don't think you can support abortion fully if you're a Catholic. I don't believe that, because that's something that's not coherent with the Catholic faith. So you can be Catholic raised, you can say you're a Catholic, but if you don't act on the Catholic faith,
do you know whether or not she personally believes in abortion?
Well, that's the point. I think then, therefore, if you have a religion, you need to have that worldview and also apply it in your daily life. And therefore, if your daily life is a politician, you should also reflect it. No, not necessarily. I think if you're a politician, you should be truthful to what you actually believe and not, throw away your principles, which are very important, to adhere to a certain party, right? That's also affect to Donald Trump too, because he says he's a Christian. I don't believe that one bit, because he said, like, oh, what is your favorite Bible book? And he didn't know. So like that,
he hasn't
claimed
to be religious at any point in his life until just before the 2016 elections.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the point, right? He
weird.
throws away his principles to adhere. Yeah, right. But it's also with, you say, I didn't know Kamala was a Catholic, but right now, like, if she is, then she doesn't adhere to the actual worldview. Yeah, but yeah. So if she is Catholic, I don't know them.
I think that there are just as many Christians who would argue that acceptance is okay as there are that would argue that it's not okay. Because there's like so many different denominations of a religion that pulled from a lot of other of sources itself before forming, that you got to contend with. So what you may believe as a Catholic, obviously, we know just from reality that isn't going to be what Kamala believes in, but like I guess it just kind of drives me back to the point that I made before, that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, you have the freedom to practice whatever you want, but we're not trying to incorporate the freedom from those things from society. We don't want to remove those things from society. And that's, I think, the contention that people make who believe what you believe, that religion should be lived through your deeds, because then religion starts to influence society. And unless you want a theocracy, then you have to be able to separate yourself from people with other religions, and you have to be able to understand that they got just as much a slice of the pie as you do. They could be, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, they could be one of the 144,000. You don't know. Doesn't necessarily, like, doesn't reveal itself right away, right?
Are you a raised Jehovah's Witness? Or
no, I was
not.
Are
you a raised Jehovah's Witness? Or
no?
Oh, okay.
This
is a very specific like information you got from him.
I grew up and went to school with mostly Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses. I was at like it was a borderline private school. It was just a school that not really many people knew about. So it was private in that respect, but it wasn't like a private school. It was weird. Mostly Mormons. They didn't even have
Mormons and Jehovah's Witness. Wow.
Yeah, they didn't have soda in the vending machines.
No soda?
No, school-wide, no sodas for almost the entire time I was going to school. I just didn't grow up drinking soda. Like, it was weird. Because all my friends were like just getting like big gulps and stuff.
Oh wow. Well, that's healthy, right? Like, yeah. I saw like the sizes of your sodas in America. It's so huge. Like, we have like our large is your small or medium.
I'm not
insane.
Surprised. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, but I was more like focusing on Kamala because you said she was Catholic. If it's not that the case, then I will just drop that. But if she is, then she doesn't act on her faith. And I think, like, even if you're not religious, you have a worldview.
That's my argument. Is that that shouldn't matter.
Okay. It shouldn't matter. Okay, so like as a politician, or just in general?
Ideally, in everyday life, it shouldn't matter what somebody else is, as long as you're doing what you need to do. And I think if you abide by
that makes sense. Yeah.
If you abide by the Christian point of view, then I mean there is an edict that you're supposed to be spreading the gospel, but few Christians actually go and do that. But Jehovah's Witnesses, they have their mission work, and I think Mormons have their mission work, and then Jehovah's Witnesses have
they also go in pairs like the Jehovah's Witness. I had the wall that I have to overcome, or the obstacle that I have to overcome, is everybody else's freedom. And I think that that's a huge consideration that you need to make when thinking about which candidate has the best interests of the country in mind, because you have to consider everybody, not just yourself or your own religion. And I think if you're looking at the two, again, I still have a hard time ever imagining that Donald Trump would be the lesser of two evils of a woman, a child rapist, a predator, a person who, whatever Donald Trump has done, would be the lesser of two evils against a woman who literally put child predators in jail for, I would say, 2 decades of her career before ever getting into politics, and then running on those accomplishments on her platform and encouraging equity. I just have such a hard time believing that he would have been the lesser of two evils in any circumstance, unless you had severely fooled yourself or you were just lying. Fair. Okay. Well, yeah, I do get your point now, because I was never like, I had the same exact reaction or like thought, like, how could you ever choose Kamala over Trump? So it's funny how you say from your side, and then like,
why? Like, I have to know why. What was the deal breaker with her?
Because
just because she's not a Catholic?
I would rather,
or just because she's not a real Catholic,
she had certain...
or whatever.
No, that's not the case at all. If she's not, if she says she's a Catholic and she doesn't do it, that's her thing with God, right? So that doesn't really matter. But it does show a piece of her personality and her leadership skills to say, like, okay, I will just throw away my principles for this. That does say something, but that's not the point. The point is that I
would see that as a sin. I would see that as the sin of pride.
Sorry? Of throwing away your principles, or not throwing away?
I wouldn't phrase it like that, but I would say, considering that there are other people who need to act and coexist in society along with me and my beliefs, I would say that it's an act of pride to say, well, instead of doing that, I'm going to legislate my beliefs into the law. That would be pride.
It's of course, like, but I think it's very important to, like, I don't know exactly how it works on a federal or state level, but I think, even in the Senate or like in a state council or something, like you have people with different worldviews and you discuss with each other, right? That's the democracy part, right? And I think it's important to have people that have like a strong worldview but are open to dialogue. I think that's important, right? I think it's important that people stand to their principles, to say, like, this is what I think is wrong, this is what I think is right, to have a just society, or like a society in a whole, and then spar with each other, or like fight with, not a fight, discuss with each other how to go from there. But not throw away your worldview, right, for the greater good. I think that's betraying yourself.
I never said that you had to let go of your religion just to consider other people. I think that if you can say, the Bible says A and B, and the people that are my constituents, majority may not believe that, it may be a mixture, a large number of people may not believe that. I have to understand that if I make this thing illegal, it will affect them as well. And it will take away their freedom and their autonomy just so that I can have freedom from them doing that thing. You still have the freedom to do that stuff. But now, because I'm in power and I have that worldview, I can make that thing illegal, and I can take away the freedoms of others in order to make that happen. And that's what I don't gel with.
I do get where you're getting from, because from that perspective, I do get that you say like take away, but I think that's a negative way to say like how, like for example, if I was a Senate member or something, and I have a strong worldview on the world as a Catholic, you know, but that doesn't mean I want to take away your rights or your freedom. So I just
if
noticed,
we were living
like,
in your
why
perfect
would you ever
world,
choose
that might have to happen.
Yeah.
But that's not cool.
Not necessarily, no. No, because that would be not coherent with the fact that we have free will and we should not be forced. So like in a Christian perspective, like if I force you to believe, that's not really belief, right? Or that's not really faith. Faith is a relationship with God and trust.
Believing things that can't be substantiated.
Sure, like you can compare it with your marriage, right? You consented to each other to get married. You're not forced to get married, right? You needed to say like, yeah, I'm willing to marry this person, right?
Well, nobody was holding a gun to my head.
No, I hope not.
Well, according to the Bible, if you don't come to God by the end, you will be burned in a lake of hellfire.
Yeah, I can get that your interpretation.
So that's a gun to your head.
I can. Yeah, but I don't. That's not like I can say that's not my. That's not the church's interpretation of the Bible, and you can say like, yeah, but the other churches does. But I believe that the church has a authority over interpreting the Bible. But that's another topic. But
that's one of my topics.
Because yeah, sure, we can totally talk about that.
God of the Bible sucks.
We're going. Yeah, I see that. How the hell, or like how punishment of God looks like in the Bible, and how is that interpreted
Why does there
in
need
the
to be a
church
punishment?
and through time? Well, that's actually my point. It's not punishment. Let me see. There's an analogy, right? Analogy. Do you know the story of the prodigal son? The prodigal.
Kind of. You can refresh my memory if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm gonna paraphrase. I'm also not very good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's like a son and a father, and there's another son, but that's a different part of it. This son doesn't like his father, goes away and does bad things for himself. So like going to prostitutes, gambling, just the typical stuff that does bad things, right?
My typical Saturday night.
Let's see. And then he regrets it, right? So he is essentially in a sin. He's sinning. He's doing things that is not necessarily good for himself. And then he regrets it. And then he goes back, expecting the father to be angry, right? To be like, why did you do this? And why did you leave? But what he does is he runs to him. He sees him. He runs to him and puts his cloak over him. And he hugs him. He cries and he says, we're going to make a feast for you. That's how I see the father. Like, okay, so like the Trinity, that's how I see when people like sin, I also sin. And when I think, oh no, okay, so I have done this thing, I think God will never forgive me anymore. I'm just going to go to hell. But that's a misinterpretation of what God is. God is the God of love. And even though you do horrible things in your life and then you truly repent, I think I saw a video of you watching a video of something with repenting. So, but if you truly repent, you think like, okay, I'm really sorry I did this, or like, I see the way I lived is not good for me, then God will forgive you. Like,
and you get to
one more thing. Well, hell is necessarily not a fire of a lake. I would see
it a real place?
More like an absence. No. It's not a place in the sense of material place. I think it's a state of being.
Material place? Just so that I can get my ideas straight.
No, it's a state of being. But you could say that eventually there's a new Earth, right? Like, so the heaven on Earth will eventually come. In that sense, you could say that eventually it will be material, but for now it's a state of being. So people that die right now,
it's like a cryostasis sort of thing, pending Armageddon.
Sure, but they don't. Yeah, sure, but they're not like frozen, so they can still.
It's
think
like a holding,
like
a holding pattern.
Sure, yeah, they're like like for example, saints. We believe in saints, the intercession of saints. We believe saints are people that are already in heaven and intercede for us, so they can, we can pray to them. So that's like the intercession of saints. That's a different topic. But how I see hell is the absence of God, because if we take the term of God, God is good, and if God is not there, God is, well, you know, if God is not in that place, then it's the absence of good. Therefore, hell is the absence of good, so absence of God. Do you get me?
Yeah, kind of, but I think you're just trying to equate hell with atheism at that point, which I wouldn't agree with.
No, not necessarily. Well, you could say, like, it doesn't mean, like, if you're atheist, you don't have God. God is everywhere in the sense of because he created everything.
Not to atheists.
Even God can work through... Yeah, that's true. Like,
you cannot fundamentally believe in something that doesn't exist. You can't. It can't just be out there. Like, other people believe that it exists. I am unconvinced.
Well, you can. No,
so
that's true.
I haven't fundamentally understood that God exists, and I haven't accepted that there's a God out there doing things. So I'm starting from zero. So
Yeah. No, that totally. What I was saying was, like, I do think God can work through atheists. Like, I don't say, like, when you're an atheist, you're just a horrible person and you don't do good things. I see a lot of atheists around me that are sometimes even better than Christians around me. So that doesn't mean atheists are godless. But I do say, like, if you die right now and... No, let me rephrase. God is essentially seeking a relationship with you. So, like, with if you can compare it to your marriage, you are married, right? You don't say, like, okay, we're married, done, we're not going to put any effort into it anymore because we're married, right? No, you keep putting effort into that with your wife or your husband, whatever, with your wife, and then you just keep that marriage going, right? Like a relationship. So you build on that. That's the same with God. You keep building a relationship with him. It's like a...
Or else.
Like a person. Well, it's not necessarily that. I think you have a... I don't know how you experience... Yeah, that's true. I think that's an okay statement, or like a okay.
So if I'm an atheist, I have no God. So I'm sinning. So if I don't repent by the time I die,
what it means,
I cannot be saved,
with the
whether it's a state of mind or
have
not.
no other. Well, the commandments that you're saying, like, it's have no other gods before me, only me, right? Like, no other gods. What it means by that is like idolatry. Yeah, and the gods statement.
Well, he says it twice.
They mean in that sentence.
Once about idols, the other about worshiping him.
Yeah, so you can say money could be a god for you because you put money at the highest priority on your list. Like you have. Sorry?
Not if you don't believe in God. You can't just apply the God label to stuff. If an atheist wants a lot of money, you can't be like, well, you're worshiping money.
No, well, you can't say that in a certain sense, but I'm trying to explain why I say it like this, because... No, but I'm not saying, like, okay, I'm only making true statements now. I'm just saying how I see it right now, right? Like, I'm just trying to explain my theology, my system. So, if I say, like, okay, for example, I adore money, right? I only hoard money, like greediness, right? Like, there are a lot of CEOs, right? Like, I don't know, Elon Musk or something, they love money, right? They're like hoarding money. You could say he puts the highest priority of his life, his money. He doesn't put his wife or his child or love or something else. He puts money, like, essentially on the top of his list. So like he only thinks about money, or that's his top priority, his drive, right? That's essentially making money a god for you. I'm not saying then, oh, you're also a believer in that. No, I'm not saying that. The god term actually means the highest priority in your life right now. Do you get me? Is that?
Well, but then it, like if you try to say that, but you believe that God is a real entity, like a conscious being, right?
Yeah.
So then if we're gonna muddy the waters, if we try to say that God is, you're using money as your God, if we try to metaphor things like that, I think that we gotta keep those distinct, Like I think you can have a dogma over a fandom, or like, I think that's entirely possible, but I think that if we try to say God, this is God, that's God, everything's a God, then we might lose the message, if you will.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but what I mean with God is not the capital G God, but
little
like
G.
Sorry?
Little G.
Yeah, little G. Yeah, the little G God. I do think that you can worship things other than gods, and that means it doesn't mean that it is a god, but it means that you make it a god in the sense of your time and effort you put into it. You understand? Yeah, so that's kind of the thing I mean with you put no other gods before me, you worship me. So that means not necessarily it's like worshipping is also meaning, with the time and effort you put into it and the highest priority. But you can make other things a god for yourself. For example, I can make my job a god. Like I can make a job a god, like I can be a workaholic. I can put my job in front of my kids. I can just neglect my kids and just go to work and work hard for the money and for the work, but neglect my family, for example. That could be a way of worshipping your job. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean with idolatry, I think. I hope it's not too much or like gibberish. I'm just trying to make sense of myself too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand your interpretation of idolatry, and I would throw in the idea that God was talking also about golden idols and things like that. What the hell was that?
Yeah. So like other gods also, Yeah, sure.
Right, and like I get it. I see the distinction, I see the parallels. But I think that my point still remains that there are still incontrovertible laws that God set forth that kind of makes it a bit of a catch-22 to get into heaven, the big club in the sky. And that's doesn't make me really like that kind of person, or that kind of sentient being, which makes me think he sucks.
Can you give me an example what you don't agree with? I'm just curious.
Oh my gosh, like
if you want, of course.
the potential wholesale slaughter of innocent women for not bleeding on their wedding night.
Yeah.
Flooding the earth was a pretty bastard move.
Okay.
Creating laws that don't mention anything about slavery. Like don't own people would have been cool. To add to those, don't rape would have been cool too. Kind of being a little bit shady about the old laws and the new, and about how like the son came to not do away with but to fulfill them, which means he's still endorsing the wholesale slaughter of women who don't bleed on their wedding night, who can't prove that they're virgins, which is not a thing. Yeah, I disagree with several things in the Bible. Aside from the wholesale endorsement of slavery. And mass murder.
Have you read
and ethnic cleansing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the genocide, right? Some people call it right? Yeah. How have you read the entire Bible? Like, how have you read the Bible exactly? Just like go through the verses you saw online, or did you actually read it?
If
you
I'm
go
curious about something that somebody's saying, I just look it up. And I've looked up quite a lot.
And then you just go to the verse there, and then just read it.
I read it. Well, I try to read the whole chapter. A lot of I'm sure as you've probably noticed, it's a pretty dense book. And there's a lot of these and thys and thous and begots, and he did this, and he separated this from this, and put this into this, and would take from the waters and put from the waters, and begot the waters, and spoke, and he spake, and then he But yes, I try to thoroughly
if you have a cool
understand
like the
context of what I'm reading. Like I don't just try, because I know that a lot of Christians and Catholics and just religious people, they tend to say like, okay, well, did you read the whole passage? And so I just want to be like kind of prepared for that. And so like I do tend to read the whole passage when I do when I look stuff up.
Sure. No, that's very important. I was wondering that, because some people, not you, actually go and just see a verse out of context and just say, genocide.
Well, I think that's true on both sides. I think that's both. Christians do that to support points that they shouldn't be supporting. And then,
of course.
The other people on the other side do the same thing too. Yeah, I've seen it.
Of course. Yeah, I've seen it too. And it's important to, just keep critical thinking, right? But what
always be learning.
Want to go with is like the Bible is not like one book, right? So you have Genesis, and you have Exodus, etc. You have Leviticus, all those type of books in one book. So like it's a more of a compendium. No, it's just a collection of books. And every book, you need to read differently, right? So like if I give you a poem of Edgar Allan Poe, for example,
some are
do you
stories
read it like
being
a scientific
told, some
paper?
are notes that are being written. Some are third-hand accounts. Some are, I get it. I understand that there are definitely different circumstances under which each book was written.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, so like the authors through times try to write in a certain way. Like in Genesis, you can clearly see it's written by Jews, because the way they wrote it with the hyperbolic sense, the symbolic sense of creation of the earth. So you can kind of see that like the hermeneutics.
So
right?
You're not a biblical literalist?
No. I'm a Catholic. Like I think there's a miscommunication that you think that all religious people.
There's a lot of like crossover. There are fundamental Catholics too, all right?
Yeah, sure, of course. There's a whole diversity, right? Diversity.
Yep, exactly.
That's the beautiful part of Catholicism, I think, is because you have the Bible, of course. That's we believe that's sacred scripture, inspired by God, but it doesn't mean you can just willy-nilly read it and just interpret it on your end, and then it's truth. Like with every other text, even historical text, you need to uncover the actual meaning of what the author meant, right? So like you don't just go for face value and make your own interpretation and then call it a day, right? So what I believe is that also the church has a certain, you can call it a department in the church that actually uses tradition. So what I mean with tradition is like the 2000 years plus that the Catholic Church has its thinkers, its church fathers, the apostles themselves. They all combine it in a holistic view, and then use the Bible also, and then make a coherent interpretation of it. So I do get that some Protestants only say like sola scriptura or only the Bible. I don't think that's necessarily correct, because where in the Bible does it say you only need the Bible? So that type of stuff.
Well, I feel like that it diminishes your strength, though, does it not? You're essentially saying that you get to pick and choose what you take seriously from the scripture. Like there's a framework that's in place, obviously, like because there's a hierarchy, there's a chain of command.
Yeah.
But those people, they chose which laws to follow and which laws not to follow, and which concepts to incorporate and how to interpret the Bible. So you're getting not only are you getting your word from somebody that existed, 800 years ago, but now you're also getting your word secondhand, third hand from the guy who got it from the guy who got it from the guy. Can you imagine how much telephone has happened since then? I would not trust the Bible if I were you.
Yeah, I do get your statement, yeah. But I don't think
especially how many
like
Catholics have come out as like being corrupt.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's tough. It's tough out
yeah,
there
of course.
in the streets for Catholics.
I hate that when that happens, all the child abuse, all the scandals. How we say, like, I'm sure you say, like, the institution of the Catholic Church is man-made. We believe that the church is,
I believe religion
is
in
going to
general
go
is
into
man-made.
supernatural. Yeah, of course. Like, I can get your statement like that, but we as Catholics believe that the Catholic Church, yes, it is a institution and is run by humans, so it can be corrupt. But it doesn't mean that the Holy Spirit, so I'm going to go with the terms now with the Holy Trinity. So the Holy Spirit, so that's God, can work through a certain institution. We call the church also the body of Christ. So like what I said earlier, even God can work through an atheist in good things, right? So like you could say that the church is like a body, and everyone that is part of that body is...
all that child abuse turned out to be a good thing.
No, because no, not necessarily, because humans run it.
God
therefore
still
it
has
can be
not
corrupted,
struck
right?
down the Pope or the Catholic Church, nor the Vatican.
No, of course not, because there's free will. Look, I get that that's a lazy explanation, but bear with me, because
so then he kind of sucks if he has the power to stop it and he doesn't. It kind of sucks.
Yeah, I do get that.
Because they're following his book. They're misrepresenting. If you don't agree with what they're doing, they're misrepresenting his book. They're misrepresenting you.
Yeah, of course, and we should be all angry about them. We should really,
Why do they just move them then?
I'm not saying I condone them. Sorry?
Why do they just move the priests that touch children then? They just move them to different parishes.
Well, yeah, I have read that too, and I don't
because
think
it would
that's
be
good.
because you actually would violate the covenant of the church, and I'm sure you know this as a Catholic. You would violate the covenant of the church if you were to excommunicate someone for child abuse, especially if you took that knowledge during confession. There is a law right now in our state, in Oregon, where they're trying to pass a law that prohibits priests from notifying authorities when someone during confession admits to predating on a child. And the argument is that it would ruin the covenant of the church. It would destroy faith in the institution.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I know, not necessarily destroy the covenant, but like the priest, so the state of confession, the priest acts as the body of Christ, so he doesn't act on himself.
How do you know that is even a thing?
The confessor. Yeah, well, then we go to like a whole different subject, right? So I think that it's important just to take this as, yeah, sure, but it's important to like get a foundation, right? So like this is the foundation.
That's such a stretch.
Sorry?
That's such a stretch, though.
Yeah, I do get it. Like, yeah, I know. Therefore, it's important. Like I said, therefore, I'm talking terms now that's probably foreign to you or sounds ridiculous, like the Holy Spirit, the institution, confession. Sorry?
They may not be. I've studied a lot about religion. I'm listening. I'm gonna get some more water. I'll be right back.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. Oh, you can hear me, or?
I can even talk to you too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. No, but so the confession, in a sense, like we can discuss all about it, if it's fake or not, or it's just illusion. But how it works is that the confession works, the sacrament of confession works as follows. The confessor goes to a priest and acts as Christ himself, so he can be forgiven. So that doesn't mean, therefore, if someone admits a sin of child abuse, for example, or murder even, that doesn't mean the priest can only absolve their sins if they really, truly repent, so they don't do it again. They have.
Okay, so in this hypothetical, the guy that just came and confessed that he's touching his daughter to you, he truly, truly regrets it.
Yeah.
Truly regrets it. and he really wants God's forgiveness, and he is as pious as you could ever imagine him being. You've known this guy his entire life. He has been to this parish every single Sunday, some Wednesdays, doesn't even work on the Sabbath, and he comes into you and he confesses to you that that he does it and that he's going to do it again. Aren't you bound by any kind of moral
do it again?
imperative to, well, I mean, just because you're sorry for something doesn't mean you're going to do it again. Or doesn't mean you're not going to do it again.
No, that's important to... Yeah, but that's exactly. That's the difference between being sorry and do it again or be repentant, you know? Like, doesn't mean... there's no... You know, the human heart is pretty fucked up, right? So, like, there's sin in our... I'm just going to go with the terms, right? So, like, we have certain things we want to do that is not really good for us. We want to smoke sometimes, right? Like, if you're addicted to smoking, you know it's bad for you, but you still do it because it feels good. But that's a very,
okay, but why does this apply to some things and not all the things in the Bible? Do you eat shrimp and pork?
Yeah, I find them tasty.
Well,
but I do
then
sometimes get some...
Do you repent about it?
Pimples. Well...
Do you repent on eating shrimp and pork?
Because, you know, you have the... Because you have the Old Testament and you have the New Testament, right?
No,
there was an issue actually in the.
No. You cannot say that. Jesus came to fulfill the old laws and the new.
Yeah.
That's not a jot or tittle of the old laws shall change. That's from the Bible.
No, he actually. What? If you read the New Testament, he actually goes in violation of a lot of Jewish laws there. That's why he got killed, right? Because he said,
God is fallible. God changes his mind.
No, because...
Okay, so that seems like a contradiction to me.
I think what the... No, because I think the Jewish people on that
to change the old laws. I come to fulfill them. Not a jot or tittle of the old laws shall change.
Yeah, exactly. But then, for example, if you take Jesus, for example, he said, like, even the Gentiles can be saved, right? Like, at first it was only God's chosen people, right? The Israelites, right? Mm-hmm. But then Jesus came and said, like, well, no, even Gentiles can come in, you know, and they don't have to be circumcised. Like, God himself, you could say, contradicts himself, but doesn't that mean that law was never meant that way? Do you get what I mean?
Either he contradicts himself or he changed his mind. But there are plenty of people who would argue that God cannot change his mind, that he is omnipresent, that he is timeless, that he is everywhere all at once. But that is a contradiction itself. That argument is a contradiction.
Can you see in the sense of that those laws that were given could apply to only a certain type of people in a certain time?
Explain what you mean. I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
So, for example, in the time of when the Jewish people, the chosen people, were banished from Egypt and they went to the desert, right? That type of that story in Exodus. Mm-hmm. They had certain laws there that would be only applicable to their situation and their people at that
like
time.
Not spilling your seed outside of an internal biological hole. In fact, suggesting as much as to cuck yourself in order to do it, or have gay sex, which nobody ever mentions.
No. Look. I'm getting to something else, but sure, that is also a point we can go to.
Hey, you got to take it all, man. If you're gonna take some of it,
no,
you gotta
I understand,
take it all.
But if you state it that way, then I get defensive, right? Like,
how do I get romantic
I don't want to get defensive because. No, what romantic? No, I mean like in such a kind of more like an attacking way, like, oh, I can't have gay sex or something like that. But like, I think that's a very elementary way of looking at it. Of course, like people in the past weren't stupid, right? Like
the Leviticus, the laws that were given to the Hebrews when they escaped from slavery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
they will not lie with another man in that sense.
However,
right?
if you have sex with one of your male slaves or your brother's wife, it's all good. Those are laws that he. Those are the laws that he laid
out. The Bible. Do you think that everything in the Bible, in a sense, like? Okay.
I just think he had a great sense.
Well, you know, when we all die, you can ask Moses.
I'll seance him right now.
Seance him right now. But like, do you think everything that is in the Bible, like described, is talked in a sense like good? Like, if there's like a description of King David doing this and that, do you think that God automatically condones that?
Well, God commanded King David, like directly.
Yeah. But does it mean that the how David acted on that is good? Like, for example, I can't remember what he actually did, but he did something.
If he
bad,
says, I want you to friggin' go into your go into your son's wives or your father's wives or something like that, or no, that was his son. David was the one who raped his dad's concubines, I think, on the roof of the temple. Pretty sure. But either way, that God specifically told him to do that. He didn't say, "Hey, I want you to do a big display of power," all right? And think like, he's probably gonna go and like erect a giant statue, and it's gonna look really majestic. And then he's looking horrified at David. He's like, "Oh my God, what is he doing?" Like, I don't think that was the case.
Those type of verses are very difficult, right? But that doesn't mean that it. I'm just trying to be honest, right? Like I'm not a know-it-all, right? Like of course, I'm a Christian, a Catholic, and I believe that God is real and it is the God of the Bible. Doesn't mean I know everything, right? I'm not a super intelligent theologian. I'm just trying to get it in my system too, right? So in that sense, I don't know.
But here's the problem,
what I can say is.
If you're trying to get a point across that you think might solidify your faith or encourage others to come to the faith, then why isn't God going to work through you to make that happen? Am I unworthy? Am I like not worthy of being saved? Am I not ready yet? Like, do I not have the
that's
capacity?
Not if we go, If we not necessarily. No,
I would think it'd be a passive AOE
if we go
effect.
like more. AOE effect. Well, I'm pressing W right now and it doesn't work.
Exactly.
No, you're too far away. No, but what I mean is.
It's a range issue. Okay.
Philosophical. Yeah, it's a range issue. Yeah, you just gotta come closer to the Netherlands. Just come here, live here. No, we have a very fucked up housing here, so don't come here. It's very.
Gotcha.
Expensive.
No, hey,
but
my sister-in-law lives over there. I get it.
Oh really? Oh
yeah.
Sucks to be her. No, I'm joking. But
her choice.
Oh, that's cool actually. Yeah. Sorry.
It was her choice.
Oh man. Well, no, but back to the thing. Like, if we want to go a little more philosophical in the sense of why am I not worthy? Why doesn't God move through me to convince you? Because I think God doesn't force you to believe. Like, just like I said with marriage, you don't get forced to get married, like that gun on your head, right? Like right now, I don't think anyone would like to believe, though it did happen that they were forced to believe, but that doesn't work ever, right? They just say, yeah, I believe, whatever. But to truly believe, you do it on your own. You choose yourself to believe. So I think
covenant with God.
If God really, sorry.
You make a covenant with God.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you could call it like that.
That's how the Bible would state it.
Yeah, but I think that the way that God wants to get to know you, because Christianity is not the humans to go to God. Like the humans try to communicate with God, but it's the other way. If we just take the basis of the Bible, right? Jesus is God, therefore he incarnated himself in his own creation because he loves us to show us, okay, here I am real. This is who I am. Because before that, God was kind of abstract, right? If you don't believe in Jesus, it's still kind of abstract. Like Islam, it's kind of abstract. I think
it's hard to substantiate something that you cannot see or feel or witness, right?
Yeah, right. So
how do you,
yeah,
so
exactly.
then how do you know
Yeah,
that
of
Jesus
course.
actually had God in him? How do you know that it wasn't just some guy?
So we gotta. Yeah, well, that's the whole crux of the discussion, don't you think? Because even Saint Paul in the scriptures
You're
says,
basing your
like in the
entire
Bible,
faith. Don't say that's the entire crux of it. That's a bad thing to say.
No. The entire crux of it is the resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? So what Saint Paul said in the Bible, so in the scripture, if the resurrection of Jesus Christ is not true, the entire religion is false and we live a lie. That's essentially what he said in the Bible.
There are plenty of other things
even
that
people in
prove
the Bible,
that things are not as they seem, right? Like, it's not just one inconsistency that, that atheists or that people who argue against religion necessarily believe. It's like a lot of things. Just like with Trump. It's not just one thing, it's a lot of things.
No, I get that, but I mean, like, in the crux, in the sense of, like, if the resurrection is not true, then everything around it, all the other points that we can talk about, it doesn't matter anymore, right? That's the whole thing.
I think then we disagree on how many deal breakers there are.
It went from, it went from MAGA to the Bible. That's pretty funny. But I think
there's a lot of overlap between the two. You know, like people justify a lot of the things that they do, whether they are truly zealous or not, on by their religion. So it's whether it's a good thing,
but it's
or
the
a
other
bad
way
thing.
too, right? Don't you think?
Well, that's why I say whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, I think alcoholics who recover attribute a lot of that to their faith. And I personally don't like that. I personally would rather people give themselves the credit for overcoming issues in life, but I get where it comes from and I understand it. And so I don't necessarily push back on that, on people who like find fulfillment in something. But it's when the line is crossed between the two, when the permeable bubble is crossed, that where people like try to say, well, this law is unjust, or well, this way of life is unjust, and so what we're going to do is we're going to introduce legislation to take it out of society or to put it into society. So like the 10 Commandments being introduced into schoolrooms. That is an example of things being incorporated into society that don't necessarily need to be there. And then legislating trans people out of existence by saying there are only two genders, or by saying that you cannot be in women's sports or anything like that. That's the other side of things. It's there's a lot of zealotry and a lot of targeted.
No, of course I understand that, and that's it's important to we're all human beings. Like, even without religion, we can say to a fact that we're all human and we have such a unique way to communicate to each other. Like right now, we can just communicate through this microphone with our thoughts and just make the abstract like tangible, right? That's insane, right? So,
we accomplished all
we
that.
are humans, and we need to. Sorry.
And we accomplished all that with our hands and our tools and our knowledge. Humans, we did that.
Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, but I think that's like, I don't really think that attributing God to all the things we've done, like the grace of God, right? Like people say, like it's the grace of God that I'm healed or that I'm out of this addiction. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because if you say like, no, you should, of course those people also say like, I did it myself too, but with the help of God, the grace of God. That doesn't mean they don't value themselves less. Like, if look, I can be honest, I struggle with a lot of pornography, but by the grace of God, I don't do that anymore. I still get some of those sensations.
Did you ever go to like a program for addiction or anything?
No.
So,
I talk with my wife about it, and with
so
people
in
around.
America, we have programs that exist to help people with their addictions, and one of those programs is Alcoholics Anonymous. One of those programs is Narcotics Anonymous. They cover all sorts of different topics, but the most prevalent ones are AA and NA. Are you familiar with the 12 steps?
Sure, yeah. No, not at all.
So AA is a religious-based program. It's a faith-based program, I believe I should say more accurately. Alcoholics Anonymous. Get the wiki entry up for it. All right. So Alcoholics Anonymous is a global peer-led mutual aid fellowship focused on an abstinence-based recovery model, scientifically unproven, from alcoholism through its spiritually inclined... Here, I'll put it up on my screen too. Through its spiritually
I see it here. I have it here, yeah.
12-step program. AA's 12 traditions, besides emphasizing anonymity, stress lack of hierarchy, staying non-promotional and non-professional, while also unaffiliated, non-denominational, though it is faith-based and fellowship-oriented. Already we can see some shadiness here. So the 12 steps... Okay. The line that I like to pay attention to, all of them are important for understanding how it's roping you into an exclusive relationship with the religion that it is trying to get you to become a part of. But this one line here, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. If a Christian organization is saying that, which God do you think they want you to be having a relationship with?
I think like a monotheistic god, right? Like, so at least Islam or Christianity, right?
They want to encourage you to follow the Christian God because they are a Christian organization.
Okay, yeah.
They give exclusive rights to curing them to God. So I'm going to read each of these. I'm going to be quick because we're butting up against the end of my stream time, and I'll give you one final thought before we move on.
Yeah, I took all your time now. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I love these discussions, so I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, me too.
So let me read these real quick. Let me be super efficient here. We admitted we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. These seem innocent on their faces. Let's go to number 3, though. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of Big G God as we understood him. This is meaningless, saying as we understood him, if you're capitalizing God and him. Just saying. Number 4 is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Of course, if we're doing this, we cannot accept that we have morals without accepting that God is real. Admitted to God, Big G, once again, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We're entirely ready to have God, Big G, remove all these defects of character, giving him sole pure exclusivity, humbly asked capitalized him to remove our shortcomings, made a list of all persons we met and became willing to make amends to them all, yada yada yada, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except to do so would injure them or others, you know, taking it straight from I believe Jesus's words. So he continued to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it, sought through prayer and meditation, prayer being first on the list there, and meditation to improve our conscious contact with Big G God as we understood Big H him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So does it seem like Christians enjoy leveraging the self for success in overcoming adversity, at least in this specific sense? Or does it more so seem like they're trying to convince you that it was really God that did the thing?
I do believe that, like, for example, my addiction is by the grace of God. Like, that is what Saint Augustine also talks about. Like, we can't do anything without the grace of God. So, like, in that sense, you could say, because existence itself, if God doesn't exist, the existence of self, not the self, of all of it doesn't exist. So, like, you could say God holds everything into existence. You know what I mean? So, like, you could say it's God of the Bible, of God of Quran, but it's the abstract concept of God that keeps everything in existence itself. I don't see anything wrong with it necessarily, because it works. And if it's not forced, well, sometimes you gotta force because there are interventions, right? Like all of you people around you see you're doing worse and it's really bad, but you still think it's good for yourself, you gotta go there, right? Or something else like another program. But if it's like, if it's this, that's totally fine, right?
I mean,
it's a very good base, even if it doesn't, even if it's not real. This is a very good, you could even say, like very secular, a very good psychological way of removing his alcoholism. And even if he puts himself away for God, that God did it, that doesn't mean he sees himself more little. It means that he knows he's loved by this God, right? So
right,
even on
but
the
the other
secular
side
level,
of what you're saying is also
level,
true. Like, people tend to, especially when they get caught for heinous crimes, tend to be like, oh, well, I'm not that person anymore. I've found God. And, like, I think it feels like it is a very...
fake, right?
It feels like it's a very, a good place, a good environment for bad things to happen, a good environment for corruption. It's easy to just say, I truly believe. And you can say, as a believer, you can say, okay, well, God is going to judge you at the end. And you don't know if that person really means it. But like, doesn't this feel like almost worse to you? Like we're taking people who are at the absolute rock bottom point in their life, who with proper therapy and with proper support could potentially pull themselves out, and you're saying, it's okay, buddy, it's okay, let me tell you a little bit about God. Like, and then you bring them into this program, Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, does that not seem a little predatory or exploitative to you?
I can
Especially
see
when you
if
make
it's
this
a
as
little
an
predatory
edict.
because they, of course. Like, there are people that can sure like use God as an example to, I don't know, take advantage of people. But you can do that with everything, right? Like, you can
That
put
doesn't
a
mean it's
teacher
okay.
that it has a. No, I'm not saying that it's okay.
So
but
if a person does that,
sure,
they
it
suck,
could
right?
Happen. Sure. Yeah, but it
So if the
doesn't mean
person
the
that
whole program
sucks,
sucks,
if they're,
right?
if they're like, let's say that just a person that's doing it, if they suck, then wouldn't also the person who created the structure for them to do it then also suck? And so on and so forth, back to the Almighty Father himself.
If I can get another metaphor, like if you are driving a car, right? Like the car is made for driving around.
I would still blame the manufacturer
places
and who
faster,
sold
right?
it to me. I know where you're going with that.
So if you intentionally pull the steering wheel and drive into a grandma, is that the fault of the car and the manufacturer or you?
But how does that apply?
Because you can distort the foundation of a good, like 12 rules, for example, or like a good car, and distort it by using it as a battering ram, right?
I'm just reading the text as it's written.
Yeah.
If you extrapolated
I don't see
that,
anything
then
wrong with it.
You don't see anything wrong with it?
Well, I think what you mean by this, I'm just really trying to get into your mind, right? Like to see your point of view. I think you have do you have a foundational presupposition that people are bad?
No.
In general? That they have bad intentions in general?
I think people are neither good nor bad. I think it is whatever influences are exerted upon them that can turn them one way or the other.
So you don't think that people always try to do what's good for themselves or for other people?
Well, no, you asked if I think
or do you think they do
bad.
it because they... Sorry?
I think people step outside of their comfort zone to help people all the time. I think people step outside of their comfort zone to hurt people all the time too. People are neither good nor bad by default.
Yeah, but like, sorry if I just... Like, if you get an example of Hitler, right? Just like, you know, the typical fascist leader.
Who, according to the Bible, should be in heaven right now.
No, let's not get there yet. For example, Hitler thought...
You didn't say it wasn't true.
That he was doing the right thing. No, like, of course I can say it's not true, but then you go from, no, but this verse. I'm not saying, look, Hitler is not. You don't know if he is in heaven or not. If he is truly repentant,
but
then perhaps I don't know. God only knows. So
yeah,
he could also be in hell because he could say like, yeah, well, you know, all the Jews are freaking assholes or something.
Would you regret following
the
God if you saw Hitler in heaven chilling with like people that you respect?
No, because if you're already in heaven, then no, but you can't. No, because if you're already in heaven, then I don't think you would want it any other way, because God is good. Like that's another issue with, like, you know, what is objective truth and what is objective wrong. But like even
right and wrong
Hitler,
in
right?
heaven?
Like we can say no, but like let's go back to the subject, right? Like if Hitler, could you see that Hitler is a bad person, right? Like what he did was bad.
No matter how hard he
right?
repents.
Sure, okay. But in his mind, I'm sure, he thought that he did the right thing for the German people. He did the right thing for himself. He did the right thing for the future of Germany, right? So I think that people are not necessarily all bad in foundation, but they all try to do what's best. So even Hitler or Stalin, you know, the communist leader, or even the people in Venezuela right now with the dictator there, he thinks he's doing the right thing. I don't think, rarely, I think there are some psychopaths that really are distorted in that way, but I think the norm is, generally people, even Hitler, try to do the right thing in their mind. Doesn't mean it's good. But in that sense, I think you can say that the 12 rules are good, but people can distort that foundation and think they're doing the right thing by, you know, I don't know, taking advantage of people that are in their lowest point.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with your point that people are yeah, of course. I'm saying that's good, or well, then that's.
You're saying that there are people out there who pervert the words that they see in order to bend things to their own means, whether subconscious or conscious. And you're saying that Hitler believed that, possibly, we don't know for sure, but you are claiming that it's possible that Hitler believed that what he was doing was right. But in listening to that, at no point did you say, despite the shit he was doing, or despite the shit he had done, what your guys' worldview means is that you have to forgive him if he's truly repentant, which I would not jibe with. I don't like that. That to me says that the guy who made those
that's
rules
another
sucks.
topic, right? That's yeah.
Well, no, that's still a point.
I think that's even in. Yeah, that's a different point. But if we go to that point, right? I think that's a very tribalistic way of saying eye for an eye. You murdered my wife, or my 3 generations ago, my wife. Therefore, I'm gonna take revenge of you 3 generations later. You know, the tribal stuff. I think that is what the Bible tries to say is also not good. You know, you gotta forgive, essentially. If you see, like, at the Israel and Gaza right now, right? They don't use, they actually use the eye for an eye, right? Like, oh, they did the October 7th. Therefore, we're gonna bomb, you know, other things in Gaza. You know, it's always, oh, you take revenge, I take revenge. It's a constant cycle of war, of revenge, and of death. And the Bible says, no, you gotta forgive. You know, even though it's hard. You know,
after genociding the world twice,
rule.
And then making a whole bunch of rules and edicts that didn't include slavery, didn't include rape or anything like that.
But you can, like, we have a brain, right? We can logically conclude from all the stuff that slavery is not good. If you look in history, right? Like actual history during the slavery in America, right? A lot of Catholics.
Are you saying that slavery was always viewed as a bad thing? Because we have literal biblical accounts that it's not, and even God encourages people to do it. So it's not aberrant to society.
Well,
it's something that people wanted. It's something that people wanted so badly that they developed a religion around being able to keep people as property, and they used it as a cudgel to keep doing
because
so.
The Bible is a story of life and the story of God for humans. That doesn't mean everything within the Bible is like, it's a story, right? That doesn't mean everything in the Bible is like a rule book. It's also what happens, right? It's like a story. So,
but
like,
that's not consistent with the idea
happening.
that you have to follow the rules of the Bible. You can't just choose what to follow. Like that's not how.
No, and that's a very important question, because who decides to interpret the Bible in a way? Who decides to interpret it? You know, like, do you
I don't
interpret
know, but
it
I
the
certainly
right
wouldn't
way?
be taking those interpretations second hand or third hand, or however many people it passed through to get to you.
Yeah,
No, sir.
sure. You gotta also think, like, okay, I can understand that you think like the Bible in general is not good, but if you look at the people that follow that Bible, in general, yeah, of course there are rotten apples. Do you think Christians in general are bad people because of it?
No, there are plenty of good religious people, but most of them do not try to impose laws on others, meaning they do not go to these prisons and hospitals and convince people that only God can help them. That's cult mentality, as we proved with Donald Trump's examples that I showed you on the markers and why you might be in a cult. There's a very fine line between religion and a cult. One and only factor that I tend to consider is popularity.
Popular vote or something? What do you mean with popularity?
Popularity. So however big it is, the more people are in it, the less like a cult it looks, because it becomes more status quo.
Oh, okay. So like, but do you still think like, okay, like the Catholic Church, right, has like 1.4 billion people in it. It's what the largest Christian denomination in the world. Do you think
giant cult?
It's a cult or not?
Yeah.
Why do you think the Catholic Church is a cult?
Well, because it fulfills all of the criteria of the cult mentality that we went through before.
Well, you know, if we go broadly again with the cult things, like for example, if I want to go out of the Catholic Church right now,
the words I'm basing my belief on, if I bend them to adhere to what the point that I'm trying to make, I might be able to make that point. So.
No, but what I mean, like, if I leave the Catholic Church right now, I won't be shunned. Sorry?
Does that not parallel with the Bible?
What exactly is parallel with the Bible?
The idea that we can to bend the words to make them look the way that we want them to look.
Sure, yeah, we can do that with the Bible. We can do it with science too. You know, like with the round Earth thing. Like, not people really. Actually believe that. You know, that's also a point of
based on math.
Or round Earth. I mean, flat Earth. Flat Earth. No, I misspoke.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you could say that, but that doesn't mean it's true. We have plenty of proof to the contrary.
Exactly, and it's the same with the Bible. Like, you can say right now how I interpreted the Bible with those verses.
There is no substantial proof that the Bible is accurate or true.
No. But what I mean, it's not even about the statement of being true or not. It's about what the actual meaning of the Bible is from the author. So if we go away with the whole God thing and the whole religion thing, we just go and look at all the authors that written it. There's the fact that someone written those texts, right, in the Bible, right? Someone wrote those.
I'm sure, yeah. Right? They had to be written by somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So therefore, this author, or like every book or every verse or whatever, has a meaning behind it. So like every author that wrote a piece of that Bible has an intent from it. So if you interpreted that type of verse with the genocide and stuff and the women, do you think if you interpret it that way, do you think that's essentially truth? So therefore you don't believe it, or do you go into
hermeneutics? If there's nothing that comes along with it that refutes it, yeah.
So, but there's a lot of church fathers or like theologians, like Thomas Aquinas. You know, those people are legit people and actual smart people that actually think about that stuff through the ages. We have a lot of resources we can look besides the Bible, right, to actually give a good context. And I do get that you read this thing and you think, oh, that's not good at all, but you gotta try to be more holistic. I'm not saying like you're doing it wrong, but I'm just saying be a little more open-minded to it. Like,
I'm very open-minded.
Like, if you, no, that's.
I think that I've demonstrated throughout this that I've been pretty open-minded.
Yeah, exactly. I hope I'm also right. But what I mean is that if you look at a puzzle too long, if you look at the Bible too long, if you focus too long on a piece of the puzzle, you will go blind of it and you can't see the next step. So you got to look away from it and look at it with a fresh new perspective. I would suggest, if you really want to learn like why we Catholics, like 1.4 billion in the world, still believe in the Catholic Church, why there are a lot of intellectuals in this, in this church. There are actual people that think about it. They critically think about the statements the church made.
Or smart does not mean not gullible.
No, I'm not saying smart. I'm saying intellectual. So they actually think about it. Like
people with great insight do not necessarily have the ability to resist.
No, that's of course, but then if you
influence,
if you apply it to everyone, I can still say Richard Dawkins is also intellectual, but he also has no truths. He has a lot of truths in his own, science, in his biology. But doesn't mean if he talks about theology, he has all the truths somehow. He's intellectual, but not in that space. So I'm saying, like, go and infer with the sources that has credible people that actually have an expertise in that theology base, like theology or philosophy. I'm just saying, like, you need to do it, but I'm just saying, like, if you're open to it, try to broaden your horizon, except for just saying, oh, this verse is these verses, right? I'm sure it's a difficult verse, and I don't know the answer to it right now, but I'm just saying there are a lot of resources now because of the internet. You can just look them up, cross-reference them with the doctors of the church, like Thomas von Aquinas or Saint Augustine. They're really intelligent people that actually thought about it and wrote about it. So I think that's a nice closing thing, right?
Sure. So I think if I had to make one rebuttal, I would say that it's not my lack of knowledge or insight that has brought me to the conclusions that I've come to.
Why would you say that is true? Because even I believe in God, but I don't say I have all the knowledge. I can still be open-minded to, or like open to the fact.
I do not. It's not a lack of knowledge that has caused me to have the belief that I have. It's not lack of knowledge.
You don't think
I've
it's
done plenty of
hubris that you think that is?
I know the guys you're talking about.
I'm just
Aquinas
asking you.
And like Saint Augustine. Like I have a patron saint just for shits and giggles, like over my kitchen doorway. Like I know.
Who is it?
I don't know who it is. It's the patron saint of baking, whoever the hell that is.
Oh.
Might even be like a Greek
cool.
god or something like that.
Oh, baking.
But it's just for good luck baking. I use iconography and theology
No, it's still funny.
as
patron saint of
ways
baking.
to focus my own will.
Wait, I want to know what the patron saint of baking is. Saint Horone.
It's like
that's funny.
Yeah, it's like
that's cool.
abundance and baking and like the harvest and shit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool, right? No, but
another thing they took from
I'm
the
just
pagans.
saying, like, yeah, sure, you have enough. Well, like, we believe like those saints are actually already in heaven. You can ask them to intercede from you, but that's a whole different topic. But I mean, like, I'm sure you have a solid foundation already on like the verses. But I'm just saying, perhaps let's go of those presuppositions you already have and the knowledge, and try again. Like, like I have that also. Like every day, I also doubt if God really exists, and then I reassess myself. Research again. I keep critically thinking, and if I just keep saying like, okay, no, this is what it is, whatever, then I don't really think I have all the knowledge to make a good point. And I think with religion especially is that it is a important task to be critical always, of course, also in the Bible and stuff, but also in your own mind. Like you think, no, I have all the knowledge. You said that yourselves right now. Like, no, I don't need to research more. I already know. I think that is
That's not what I said.
Anti-scientific mindset already. You got to keep searching. If you're really interested in it, keep researching, because there's a lot more than you need to research, right? Than what you already have researched.
I'm sure there's endless resources.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And what I'm saying is like, yeah, no problem.
I gotta let you go. I'm butting up dangerously against my dinner preparation time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. Please, just finish. Finish up.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has actually been a very productive discussion. I appreciate it. Stop in again if you'd like.
Yeah.
I have more things to say about the Bible. I always have more. So yeah.
Yeah. No,
very cool.
Course,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Points, but that's,
and if you have like
yeah,
a channel
problem,
or anything that you like do streaming or anything, feel free to plug yourself. There's probably not going to be anyone who sees this, but God willing.
No, I don't have anything. Yeah, God willing, exactly. Godspeed, right?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
But, no, I don't have
a good day. All right.
Thank you, though.
All right.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Bye bye. All right, well, that was the stream for the day. I need to run and grab some ingredients for food because I should have started cooking 48 minutes ago. Oh my gosh. It'll be fine. I will ply my wife with wine and the idea of a nice hot shower, and she will then be okay with it. So, yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you so much for Edward for stopping by. He said he didn't have a plug, but you know what? When you start making content, then I'll shout your name out from the hilltops, so let me know. That being said, I appreciate it so much for everyone that stopped by, for everyone that chatted, for everyone that hung out, and stay to the end. I'll try to edit this video down a little bit and then post it as a nice little long-form video with some edits so that you can, like, keep it, you know, without all the streaming, you know, jargon and BS and stuff like that. Whatever. Anyway, thanks again. I've been Goose. Tomorrow's Work Wednesday. We'll be playing Against the Storm. It's one of my favorite games. It continues to be one of my favorite games, and we're going to keep playing it because it's real fun.